Is my screen shared now? Just check once. Screen share is? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. ठीक अच्छे. So सेमती बेसिक किसी इशू नहीं था. Any major chunk of syllabus that it's left? I think I'm more a GS1 or 2 major chunks achi, so it's no issues. We'll finish it. The main GS3, GS4, I think we are. In fact, GS4 ethics. Today's class is, you can say, almost the last class of section A. Section A रो आज last class. तापर section B और case study हमारा start ही जो काली पौर दिन case study अच्छी. And you were given time की January first week, right? So specifically we are told ki 7 Jan. This is the end date of the ethics class. But next duita class में हमें case study भी करीबा. तापर कौन करीबो कि हमें we will also have, I will keep giving you case studies to write, right? So assignments will continue. Daily assignment normally be assignments will be given for ethics specifically. Keep on writing the assignment because even though my job will be done, okay, even before 7 Jan, I think 6 Jan around, but your job will continue, right? You will keep on writing. So and after that also, I think maybe 15th or 21st Jan around, I'll also take one more extra class on ethics. एथरे किसी स्पेसिफिक वैल्यू एडिशन आ किसी हमें देखिया वैल्यू एडिशन वाला क्लास हो फॉर एग्जांपल टर्म्स केस स्टडीज या पर किसी एक्स्ट्रा कॉन्सेप्ट्स किसी यदि ये सब जिनसे हमें डिस्कस करिया then this is the last, this would be the last class for a long time. Then again once just before exam, when your main exam schedule will be out, just before that again one more class. Actually it's a class, no, it will be a session. Okay, in that session overall strategy, attitude, all of these things, any small issues you might be having, any doubt. So this will be a doubt clearing class. One more class would be there, right? So in this way, we will complete the syllabus as well as you will keep on writing assignments, and this will develop ethics answer writing in you. I hope that's clear. Car audio on अच्छे, please mute your audio. Audio mute कर दियो. ठीक है. So let's move on. So today's topic is actually one of the last topics, and remember आमे aptitude class है, वो aptitude भी वो छोटा topic थिला, ठीक है. इसका last time aptitude भी आज देखिए. But today main topic is emotional intelligence, right? So this is emotional intelligence. We are going to start emotional intelligence. If you see, oh, here syllabus record mention है concepts, utilities, and applications in administration and governance, right? This is your syllabus. And if you see UPSC previous year questions on emotional intelligence, ये सब questions उड़ा आस्ची. Specifically ki what are the main components of emotional intelligence? Crisis of conscience time. Crisis of conscience would extra value addition class re crisis of conscience विषय हमें दिखा. Or in general also give you an assignment, you can research and you can write answers. Right? Ethical and moral standard. Okay, intellectual competency is a very good question. Whether civil servant, see, this is the application part. Application of emotional intelligence, right? EQ, emotional quotient to question. So in general, these kind of questions will be there. Questions on what are the concepts, what are the components, what are the applications specifically for administration, right? Audio karo on achi, just mute your audio, check it once. Audio on achi. Okay, it's now muted, I think. So let us start with emotional intelligence. Oscar Wilde, very famous quotation. I don't want to be at the mercy of my emotions. I want to use them to enjoy them and to dominate them. So using of emotions towards our own goal. That is the meaning of emotional intelligence. Now, before going into this, can you tell me maybe some of you might have felt how emotions can make or break a situation? Can you maybe from your own experience something you have felt? Any anecdote you can think of where you have felt emotions played a big part and maybe you were able to better use the emotions, or you are unable to use it, and that's why maybe you faced any issue. एमती किसी लाइफ रे इंसिडेंट ହେଇଛି? Can you describe in brief, or even have you heard about any such story? Anyone? କାହାର ବି ଏମିତି emotion related matter ହେଇଛି? Okay, let me tell you. Yes, someone is saying. କେହି କହୁଛ କି? No. I'll tell you one of my own life stories. So when I was working, I think maybe I have said the story once before also. But in the incident, yes, anyone wants to say something? What happened was कि I was working in my office. One elderly gentleman came to my office and ସେ ବାବୁ କହିଲେ କି ଆଜ୍ଞା ମୋର ପ୍ରଧାନମନ୍ତ୍ରୀ ଘର, ମୁଁ ପ୍ରଧାନମନ୍ତ୍ରୀ ଘର କରିଛି, ଠିକ ଅଛି. And he was having some issue, so he started to talk about himself a bit. So I thought कि maybe he is talking about Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, right? Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana houses allocate हुए. So ସେଥିରେ କିଛି issue ହୁଏ. So I said कि okay, what is your problem? ଆପଣଙ୍କର କଣ issue ହେଇଛି କୁହନ୍ତୁ. କୋଉ ଗ୍ରାମ ପଞ୍ଚାୟତରେ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ପ୍ରଧାନମନ୍ତ୍ରୀ ଘର ଇଏ କରିଛନ୍ତି. So accordingly we'll go through it. We'll go through your file. Maybe some payment might be pending or something. And he said no, I have built the house of ମୁଁ ପ୍ରଧାନମନ୍ତ୍ରୀଙ୍କର ଘର କରିଛି. Means he was saying କି ଆମର ପ୍ରାଇମ ମିନିଷ୍ଟରଙ୍କ ଘର ସିଏ ତିଆରି କରିଛନ୍ତି. So I was bit astonished. ମୁଁ କହିଲି କି ଏଠି ଯଦି ପ୍ରଧାନମନ୍ତ୍ରୀଙ୍କ ଘର କରିଛନ୍ତି, and he was actually a retired engineer, some junior engineer ହେଇକି yeah, something like that, he had retired. So I said okay, so what is your issue? And then he started to sort of abuse me. कि बहुत ही बड़ बड़ କଥା କହିକି ମତେ abuse କରିବା start କଲେ कि ଆପଣ କିଛି କାମ କରୁନାହାନ୍ତି, ଏମିତି ମୋର ବହୁତ ସାରା issue ହେଉଛି. And he was behaving as if entire administration, means he was entitled to get the service of entire administration. They should have gone to his house and immediately sorted everything out, because he was emphasizing he had built the house of prime minister. Then my first impulse was that maybe I should call the police or something, because he was creating a ruckus. Right? But then I realized that very strangely the person was not lying at all. I mean, if someone would be lying, then their behavior would be a bit different, right? And his behavior, he was very confident. So I said ki, then I realized slowly that the person was suffering from delusional disorder. Specifically, there is one delusional disorder which is known as delusion of grandeur. କିଛି ଲୋକ ଦେଖିଥିବ କି ସେମାନେ ବହୁତ ବଡ ବଡ କଥା କୁହନ୍ତି, ମୁଁ ଏମିତି କରିଦେଲି ସେମିତି କରିଦେଲି, ବହୁତ ସିନ୍ସିୟରଲି ବିଲିଭ କରନ୍ତି. Okay, they are not as if they are, ସେମାନେ କିଛି ମିଛ କହୁନାହାନ୍ତି. They sincerely believe what they are saying. What they are saying is actually false, but they are not lying because they sincerely believe it. In fact, if you take a lie detector test ବି ତାଙ୍କୁ କରିବ, correct ବାହାରିବ, as if they are telling the truth. So they might be saying କି ଆରେ ମୁଁ ଏଠି ଗୋଟେ ବ୍ରିଜ ତିଆରି କରିଛି, ମୁଁ ତ ସେଇ କଣ୍ଟ୍ରିର ତାଙ୍କ ପ୍ରେସିଡେଣ୍ଟକୁ ଯାଇକି ଦେଖା କରିଛି. So this is very strange. Okay. So this is a mental disorder. Now how to deal with this kind of person? And I said okay, fine. Then I found out what was the work file जो related issue jaha ହେଇଥିଲା. I said कि I will handle this, and I even addressed his issue. But to immediately handle that person, I said कि okay, ଆପଣ ତ PM को ପାଖରେ ଥିଲେ ना. So what you should do is कि you get a letter from the PM saying that this person, ଏଇ person को ଟିକେ help କରାଯାଉ, and we will immediately help you, right? Because ଆପଣ ଯଦି ପ୍ରଧାନମନ୍ତ୍ରୀଙ୍କ ଘର କରିଥିଲେ ତ ପ୍ରଧାନମନ୍ତ୍ରୀଙ୍କୁ ବହୁତ ଭଲସେ ଜାଣିଛନ୍ତି. The person was very happy. He said कि हाँ ମୁଁ immediately phone କରିଦେବି ତାଙ୍କୁ, ତାଙ୍କ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ କଥା ହେଇଯିବେ. PM ମୋ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ daily ରାତିରେ କଥା ହଉଥିଲେ. I said that is fine. So he went to his home. Now try to understand कि how different people would have handled this. Okay, maybe someone else would have, what they would have done, they would have started shouting. Someone would have simply accepted this sort of abuse, and they would have said okay, fine, you say whatever you want to say. Okay, I don't want to engage with you. But there is also a third way in which you understand what are the emotions of different person. You use that emotion to get to where you want them to go, right? Or to achieve whatever is your goal, and that could be in their own welfare, in their own benefit. It's not like we are manipulating them, right? In any case, I solved his issue. But the problem is how to immediately deal with these people. So here the knowledge of or understanding, knowledge को have ना understanding of emotion is very very important. You understand why people are behaving the way they do. You might have seen in many social interactions. Have you seen this kind of interaction? For example, I'll give you an example. କିଛି ଦେଖିବ middle age ଲୋକ ଦେଖା ହେଇଗଲେ ସେମାନେ କଣ କଥାବାର୍ତ୍ତା ହେବେ ତାଙ୍କର ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ ହବ କି ସପୋଜ ଆଚ୍ଛା ପାଣ୍ଡେ ବାବୁ ଆପଣ ଦେଖୁଛନ୍ତି ସାଇଡରେ ଯୋଉ ପ୍ଲଟ ଟା ଅଛି ପ୍ଲଟ ର ରେଟ୍ କେତେ ଜାଣିଛନ୍ତି? ଏ ପ୍ଲଟ ର ରେଟ୍ ସପୋଜ ଏତିକି ଟଙ୍କା ଥିଲା ଆମ ଟାଇମ ରେ ଏତିକି ଟଙ୍କା ଥିଲା ଏବେ ଏତିକି ହେଲା then that person will suggest something else କି ହଁ ଏଠି ଗୋଟେ ବିଲ୍ଡିଂ କରିଥିଲେ ବହୁତ ଭଲ ହେଇଥାନ୍ତା. When I see these kind of conversation I try to understand ki what is the purpose of this conversation. Are they real estate agents? Do they want to buy that? Actually ତାଙ୍କର ସେମିତି capability ବି ନଥିବ ସେ ସବୁ ଜିନିଷ କିଣିବାକୁ. So you have to understand that this specific type of social interaction is something which is known as conversational filler. Okay. Conversation which କିଛି ଗୋଟେ fill କରିବା କିଛି ସେମିତି specific topic ନାହିଁ. The other perspective is also that this is to signal to each other that we are the men of the world. Means I'm a worldly affair ku ବୁଝୁ. Right. This is my understanding of such kind of social interaction. You are men of the world mane we are men with responsibilities. We understand what is going on with the world. So ଆମକୁ ଜଣା ଅଛି कि कौन होची कौन है. So you should not take me lightly. This is the signal they are giving to each other. Okay. This is also known as कि you are each other, you are sizing up each other. Right? कि who is the bigger lion. This is also one kind of social interaction. Now if you want to talk to these people, if you go there and you talk about some other stuff, for example you talk about literature, these people will not talk to you. The point is they don't consider this to be important. This is not a worldly affair. Right? What is worldly affair? Money, power. So they will keep on talking about these things. Now suppose you want to talk to these people to get some of, like you have some agenda, you want to get something. Now how you are going to gain trust, or how are you going to get their attention at least? So you would also have to behave as if you are a man of the world. Right? Here man is not used in the gender sense, in the sense that they are talking or they are projecting that they understand how the world works. So again, what are we doing here? We are trying to understand the emotions of the people. Right? And this is a sort of intelligence that we are usually not taught in the school or college or anywhere. This is something we pick up in our own life. आम लाइफ इवेंट रू लाइफ इवेंट्स में सब जिन पिकअप करूँ कहीं हमको स्पेसिफिकली एपन कहने एबे तो चलो इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस गोटे चैप्टर आसीगला एथिक्स रे तुम पढ़ियो बट अदरवाइज थिंक अबाउट मे बी इवन 10-12 इयर्स अगो इनफैक्ट 1998 रे हार्वर्ड बिजनेस रिव्यू रे এই কথাটা এই পয়েন্টটা ড্যানিয়েল গোলম্যান that psychologist he popularized this concept. But before that, even after that, even around 2000s, there was no such concept of EI in general in Indian schools and colleges. ଆମର କିଛି idea ହିଁ ନଥିଲା. But can you not see what is the importance of this thing? If you are able to develop this kind of intelligence, then you will be able to develop your social skills to a great level. You will be able to achieve a lot of things which requires interaction with people. And because we interact with people all of the time, almost all of the time, specifically in a country like ours, which is the world's most populous country. So therefore, at least for us also, emotional intelligence should be a huge boon. But we have neglected this kind of study till now. Right? तुम निजे फील करते हो. फॉर एग्जांपल आई एम गिविंग यू अनदर एग्जांपल. को गोटे जगह को जाइथिबे तो गोटे लंबा लाइन गोटे क्यू लागे. राइट. इट माइट हैपन दैट सपोज यू आर अनेबल टू गेट एनी टिकट्स और व्हाटएवर इज द एट द एंड ऑफ द क्यू. तुम हेटी पहुंची पारियोनी. बट तुम नोटिस करथियो मे बी तुमरो एल्डरली जो माने थे, मे बी योर मदर, somehow they would be able to talk to people and they would be able to get what they wanted. Right. So that is also some sort of emotional intelligence. So what is the purpose of emotional intelligence? Purpose of emotional intelligence is to get what we want. Okay. So what we want, and specifically it is used in the positive sense. It can also be used in the negative sense. You can also abuse emotional intelligence, for example, to gaslight people. We had also discussed this thing, gaslighting of people. Suppose it is your fault, but you will convince the other person by manipulating their emotion कि जहाँ भी कुछ problem है ना तांकर fault थी. Right. For example, you are not um, suppose you are not talking to a person, okay, your friend. So the friend asks कि भाई तुम ମୋ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ କାହିଁ କଥା ହଉନ, ଦେନ୍ ତମେ କହିବ କି ନାଇଁ ଭାଇ ତ ତୋଠୁ ମତେ ଗୋଟେ ନେଗେଟିଭ ଭାଇବ୍ସ ଆସିଲା ସେଥିପାଇଁ ମୁଁ କଥା ହେଲି ନାହିଁ। So maybe he was waiting for your call, but you turned it against that person. You said कि actually ମୋ fault ମୋର ନଥିଲା, fault ତୋର ଥିଲା, ତୋଠୁ ନେଗେଟିଭ ଭାଇବ୍ସ ଆସିଲା ବୋଲି ମୁଁ ତତେ ଫୋନ କଲି ନାହିଁ, right? So this is an example of gaslighting. Gaslighting ମାନେ ଆମେ ଯୋଉଥିରେ ଇମୋସନାଲ इंटेलिजेंस को नेगेटिव वे रे यूज करिया, where we are sort of manipulating the person's emotions to believe them, make them believe something which is not true, right? So from this, are you able to overall understand ki what is the meaning of emotional intelligence?
Sir,
Can
can I
anyone
add
tell me?
something here?
Yes, yes, please add.
Uh, Sir, so my profile, like my professional profile, has been in sales and marketing. So whatever you
Okay.
said, we just used in to handle customers. Like for example, if I have to meet you, then I would have a brochure of you, ki, what is your like, what is your birthday, and everything like that. So even we will put our agents at the site to to check up on your emotional state. କି ଭଲ mood ରେ ଅଛନ୍ତି ଖରାପ mood ରେ ଅଛନ୍ତି, then only will approach. So that
Right,
kind
right.
of things happen.
Excellent. Yes. See, this is also something which is very, very smart. Now you think about this. Suppose you have a product or service to sell, right? But you are calling the person
Sir,
when the person is
we know like where your wife goes, like where your children study, your birthday, your hobbies, everything.
Oh my God. So I think that would be a bit much excessive. So that might be, I mean, infringing upon the person's privacy. But I know that companies do even worse, right? They collect as
That
much
is in
data as
public
possible.
domain, no? So that is in public
Right, right.
domain.
From the public domain, there you are collecting information, and I'm also talking about larger companies, these software companies specifically, or even not even software companies, normal huge big companies like Apollo. Okay, for example, I went to one outlet of Apollo to buy some medicine. They asked me for the nowadays they are all asking for your phone number. Why? Because they can create your database. From the database, they will keep on sending you messages and emails. Ki this is our offer, that is our offer. But even that is, it's not limited to that. They are also collecting as much information as possible. For example, when I went to one site of a similar company, it was saying ki, no, are you okay with collecting data on your internet use? So accidentally I clicked yes. Then after that, whatever I was browsing, I was getting feedback in. You'd also have felt this, है ना? हमें जहाँ usually browse करूँ से सब जिनिଷ Google तारो data collect करके ताको advertisers मान को share करे. Now this is also one of the major reasons for this also is कि ଆମେ background information create ମାନେ collect कले जो target କରୁଛୁ audience ମାନଙ୍କର ତାଙ୍କର emotional state को भी we will also try to understand. So emotion, from their emotion we will try to understand what is their demand or what is their need, and accordingly we will target our product, right? So that you will be able to they will be able to sell it to you. I'm giving you another example. There is a very famous company, okay? Let us call it Lie Junior, okay? So this Lie Junior company, now they called me and they said ki, are you preparing for, I don't know from where they got my number and all. They said ki, are you preparing for civil services? I said yes. So this was like 3-4 years ago. And they said ki, "Acha, have you cleared prelims?" I said yes, I've done this and that. And they started saying ki, "Acha, so but you have not been in the final list." I said, "Ha, that is correct, I have not been in the final list." They said ki, "Do you want to fail again?" I said, "What sort of question is that?" No, of course not. Then so they were targeting fear-based targeting. They were saying ki, now if you fail again, so imagine sort of how much impactful it would be. I mean, it will break your confidence and all. So what we can do is ki, now we have a cure for this. What is the cure? Cure is, this is our course. Okay, 1 year course. You join this course, we are guaranteeing that you will get a rank. So even I took a class session of that salesperson. I said, "Ki, listen, I just want to talk to you for 5 minutes. If you are targeting something, so target the audience in a positive manner. Give them positive, in positive way. You maybe motivate them, or even you can sell them. You take this because we have this kind of, these are the virtues, or these are the good outputs that you are going to get. Don't target in a negative way. Fear based way. Please do not target people like that. कि तुम यदि आम कोर्स न करियो ताले फेल ହେଇଯିବ. So this sort of thing is unethical. But what they were again doing is कि they negative way रे ସେମାନେ emotional intelligence को use करते हैं ଲୋକଙ୍କର fear को, ଲୋକଙ୍କର insecurity को use କରୁଛନ୍ତି. Nowadays this has increased a lot in this exam. You would have seen ki jete unpredictable है जो usually would entrance exam or any competitive exam, some sellers would target your fear also कि सीसैट में पुणी फेल ହେଇଯିବ ଆସ ଆମ ପାଖରେ 3 ମାସ କୋର୍ସ କରିଦିଅ सीसैट ପାସ୍ ହେଇଯିବ ଓକେ ପ୍ରିଲିମ୍ସ ଆମେ ପାସ୍ କରିଦବୁ ଗୋଟେ ମାସର କୋର୍ସ କରିଦିଅ so again what they are doing is they are understanding what is the emotional intelligence, like your company is trying to understand कि what is the emotion of the person, emotional state of the person, accordingly they will call that person at that time ଯେତେବେଳେ ଭଲ ମୁଡ୍ ରେ ଥିବେ ସେବେ କଲ୍ କଲେ ହିଁ ତାଙ୍କର ତୁମ ପ୍ରଡକ୍ଟ और सर्विस ସେତିକି ସେଲ୍ ହେବାର ଚାନ୍ସେସ୍ ଅଧିକା ଅଛି ନା ଖରାପ ମୁଡ୍ ରେ ଫୋନ କରିବେ straight away they will get rejected, right? So overall now you understand what is how we use or manipulate emotions, right? Usually you should use it, not manipulate it. Use it to our advantage. See, if we are using to our advantage, then there is nothing wrong in it, but it should not be an unethical rule, right? Now you have seen this figure everywhere. ଯେତେବେଳେ ବି ଆମେ କହିଛୁ ମୁଁ କହିଥିଲି around 30% of this entire ethics is heavily drawn from psychology, right? So emotional intelligence which also comes from psychology subject. So if you have seen psychology रे ଆମେ ସବୁ ଜିନିଷରେ discuss କରୁଛୁ ତିନିଟା component ଥାଏ which is known as ABC model, right? Affective, behavioral and cognitive. Cognitive is also known as behavioral. So this is B, this is A, this is C. ABC model. Affective माने कौन? This is the feelings part, feelings or emotions. Cognitive माने thoughts, right? And cognitive or behavior means obviously behavior or action. So usually thoughts plus emotions, these two will manifest in your behavior or your action, right? So similarly, you can understand that emotional intelligence specifically would come from which part of these three components of human psychology? Of course, the feelings part, right? So we are more talking about the feelings or emotions aspects of our intelligence, right? So now come to this point, then what is the difference between intelligence and emotional intelligence? So most people understand what is the meaning of intelligence. इंटेलिजेंस कहले आमे जो पिला को सपोज आमे जहा को भाबो बहुत चालाक अछि जने पिला बहुत इवन पढ़ाकू अछि although let me tell you these two type of intelligence are also a bit different. One is known as fluid intelligence, one is known as crystallized intelligence. You don't need to go into detail about this was according to a theory given by someone known as Cattell, Raymond Cattell करो ଗୋଟେ theory अछि. तो स्पेसिफिकली आमे जहा को कि जने बहुत ही चालाक पिला हला तो ସେଇ ଚାଲାକି ଗୁଣଟାକୁ କୁହନ୍ତି fluid intelligence. Suppose someone who would you would see कि बहुत कम टाइम ଭିତରେ भी they are able to understand a lot of things. They are able to uh, for example calculate a lot of complicated things. Okay, बहुत short time ରେ ସେମାନେ ଗୋଟେ କିଛି ଗୋଟେ situation କୁ ବୁଝିଯିବେ ତ ଏଇଗୁଡା ହଉଛି fluid intelligence. ଆଉ କିଛି ଅଛନ୍ତି ଯୋଉମାନେ ଟିକେ ପଢାକୁ ଟାଇପ ଠିକ ଅଛି ଯୋଉମାନେ ଟିକେ ପଢିକି ପରିଶ୍ରମ କରିକି they are able to understand and they are able to do excellent in schools and colleges. Usually school college topper ମାନେ ସବୁ crystallized intelligence पढ़ाकू टाइप पिला studious ଯାହା କହନ୍ତି. But even both of these kind of intelligence are related to which aspect of human psychology? That is cognitive aspect, means something related to thinking, and this includes thinking, logical reasoning, okay, or logical analysis, even we can say critical analysis, right? And we can even say imagination, innovation. All of these are related to thinking. So these are all related to cognitive intelligence, CI. But if you see in this ABC model we have discussed, one is affective, one is cognitive, one is behavioral. So all of these things, cognitive intelligence is related to only this part. The intelligence related to this part entirely, affective, is known as emotional intelligence. And what does that mean? Emotional intelligence, if we say, it is the ability to correctly or accurately identify, assess, and regulate our own plus others' emotions. This is the definition. So it is our ability to accurately identify, assess, and regulate the emotions of our own as well as others. So we will go through in detail what does this mean to identify, to assess, and what is the meaning of to regulate. Right? So before that, let us try to understand what is the difference between cognitive intelligence and emotional intelligence. So cognitive intelligence और जहाँ को हमें ଗୋଟେ ଚାଲାକ और ଚତୁର ବୋଲି ଭାବୁଛୁ, ଯାହା ଗୋଟେ ପଢାକୁ ବୋଲି ବି ଭାବୁଛୁ, ତାର କଣ କଣ components ଅଛି? So it means cognitive abilities. For example, your ability to comprehension ability. किसी जिनिस पढ़ी के हम बुझी पारुଛୁ, comprehension, right? So that is cognitive ability. One example of cognitive ability. Even memorization ability, cognitive ability. Okay, related to thinking and learning. To think logically, logical thinking. Academic success in general. Okay, ଏଥିରେ ଆମେ ଯୋଉ କଥା ହଉଛୁ, ଯୋଉ ଟପର ମାନେ, କ୍ଲାସ ଟପର ମାନେ. Conventional IQ test. Intelligence quotient test ମାନେ ହଉଛି, we'll discuss in later. Intelligence quotient test ମାନେ ହଉଛି ସେମିତିଆ test which will plot and which will put you in a graph କି କୋଉଠି ତମେ ଅଛ, where how much you are scoring, or even they will give you a number ki suppose you are scoring 101 in a standardized test, that means you are an above average. 105 above average, 95 means below average, right? So these are conventional IQ tests. They can be measured in terms of conventional IQ tests. This also, cognitive intelligence also manifests or is also reflected in the ability to solve problems, problem solving ability. Okay, problem solving ability means for example different puzzles, different quiz. It can also means practical problem also, right? Suppose घरे किसी गोटे issue होला, suppose there is also a issue in the sense कि suppose किसी logical reasoning वाला issue होला. Okay, so they are able to solve it also, right? Problem को solve करिया, which is related to thinking, right? It is also reflected in creativity, which is creativity. Do you know what is the meaning of creativity? Creativity ମାନେ ହେଲା new and useful ଜିନିଷକୁ, ideas or objects को ଆମେ ଆବିଷ୍କାର କରିବା. Okay, new and useful. And finally it is also reflected in knowledge. ଆମେ ଯୋଉ କହନା କି ବହୁତ ଜ୍ଞାନୀ ଲୋକ ଜଣେ. So all of these are components of cognitive intelligence, right? Most of you know all these things. Now what is the meaning of emotional intelligence? Then emotional intelligence को जिनसे manifest हुए और reflect हुए. So you are able to understand own emotions, why you are behaving in a certain way, right? You are able to understand that. You are able to manage your own emotions. Manage माने कौन? कि आमे जेमितिया emotion को once understand कले, how can we manage in the sense, or it is also part of regulate. कि suppose you will not allow it to go to the extreme. Suppose तुमको राग लागुची, anger आसुची, you will try to understand कि मते anger काहे की आसुची, and you will find out the causes, then you will try to address the problem, right? Or otherwise मते राग लाଗୁଛି control करी होनी, बिपी बढी जो कौन हबो कौन, right? सेमितिया suppose तुमको बहुत दुख लागुची, maybe so you will try to understand कि मते दुख काहे की लागुची. Then maybe you understood that मते एथिमे दुख लागुची कि ମୋ ଗୋଟେ ସାଙ୍ଗଠୁ ମୁଁ ଯାହା ଏକ୍ସପେକ୍ଟ କରିଥିଲି, they were not able to give it to me. Maybe ସେ ଆମକୁ ଧୋକା ଦେଲା କି କଣ ହେଲା. Then you will try to understand କି ଏଥିପାଇଁ ମତେ ଦୁଃଖ କାହିଁକି ଲାଗୁଛି. Then maybe you will understand that ମତେ ଦୁଃଖ ଏଥିପାଇଁ ଲାଗୁଛି because maybe ମୋର ତାଠୁ କିଛି expectations ଥିଲା. So I should rather reduce my own expectations, then I will not get hurt, right? So this is the meaning of regulate. First is you understand your own emotions, then you try to regulate them or manage your emotions. Similarly, self motivation. So this is self explanatory. Self motivation माने निजो को निजे motivate करे. So one is motivation by others. Okay. Sandeep Maheshwari kind of video देखी, you are getting motivated. Or even कहारो success story देखी कि you are getting motivated. The other kind of motivation is you motivate yourself. Yes, I can do it. Maybe through some positive self talk. Yes, I can do it. I can clear this exam. ମୁଁ ଆଗରୁ ଏମିତିଆ clear କରିଛି, or more ethic capabilities ଅଛି. So these are all self motivation. It is also reflected in better interpersonal relations. Okay. Interpersonal relations माने your relations with other people, maybe some significant other in your life, your family members, your friends, close friends, how you are interacting with others, your colleagues, okay, even strangers also, right? So interaction between you and other people, and from this would also come your social skills. So what is the meaning of social skills? Social situation में how you are able to handle social situations, not just one to one, but in a gathering also. Okay. Or for example, suppose you have been to a wedding, right? The wedding में suppose केही तुमको किसी गोटे insult କରିଦେଲା. Now maybe one to one कौन एका थिले, you तुम कौन करथांतो ताकू बाड़े पारथांतो, although that is not advisable, right? Emotional intelligence गोटे aspect भी एटा कि how you are going to regulate your emotion. But think of this thing, even you cannot maybe scold the person there because you are in a social situation. ଯଦି ସେଠି ତମେ ତାକୁ ଗାଳି ଦେଲ, ମେ ବି ସମ୍ ପାର୍ଟ ଅଫ ଇଟ୍ ୱିଲ୍ ରିଫ୍ଲେକ୍ଟ ଅନ୍ ୟୁ କି ଏ ଲୋକ ତାଙ୍କ ନିଜ ରାଗକୁ କଣ୍ଟ୍ରୋଲ କରିପାରୁନାହାନ୍ତି, ଏତେ ଭଲ ମାନେ ଗୋଟେ ଗ୍ୟାଦରିଂ ରେ ବି ସେ ଗାଳି ଦଉଛନ୍ତି ଆଉ କାହାକୁ। So people will not see ki what the other person said. If you are reacting unnecessarily or overreacting, ତାହେଲେ ତମର reaction ଟାକୁ ହିଁ ଦେଖିକି ଲୋକମାନେ ତମକୁ immediately judge କରିବେ. They will not even see ki what provoked you. So this is also a type of social situation in which you have to understand ki right now I cannot be very angry. Maybe I will get angry on the person later on. And ପରେ ମୁଁ ତାକୁ ମୋ ମନ କଥା ଶୁଣେଇଦେବି. Right? This is an example of social skills. And similarly, it would also lead to personal growth. Personal growth in the sense ki, for example, maturity. How mature you are. Okay. Personal growth in the sense ki how mane wisdom kete asya. Right? All of these are part of personal growth. So emotional intelligence will reflect in all of these things, and this is not an exhaustive list. एतरे आवरी बहुत जिनका aspect. The important parts जहाँ मते feel है कि these are the important things. I have written all of these things, right? So overall, you got an idea of what is the meaning of emotional intelligence. Now come to this part, कि what is the official definition of emotional intelligence? And usually ମୁଁ तुमको कौन कहे कि definition केबे भी मन रखियो नहीं घोषिया दरकार नहीं. किसी definition कौन बार बार revise करी, you should write it because these are some technical definitions. So if you are able to write these definitions, it is better. जदि मन न पड़ला ताले निजर अंडरस्टैंडिंग रो what you are able to write, you can write. In fact, if you see a diagram रो भी जदि किसी मन पड़ला, diagram रो भी किसी point जदि मन पड़ला, from that also you can write a definition. But this is the official definition. दुईटा official definition अछि, गोटे अछि Salovey and Mayer कर, गोटे अछि Daniel Goleman कर. So you can remember any of these two. And this model is known as ability model of emotional intelligence. Means ability model kahin kuha hoichi because Salovey and Mayer a researcher mane कहले कि emotional intelligence is an ability, right? It is a human ability. So ତାଙ୍କର definition कौन? Let me tell you. The definition says that emotional intelligence is the ability to perceive, assess, and effectively regulate emotions so as to promote emotional and intellectual growth. Right? To perceive, assess, and effectively regulate emotions. So similar କଥା हम कहलेनी कि identify, assess, and manage. Right? And here Salovey and Mayer has given what is the objective also. कि हमारा objective of emotional intelligence is what? Objective according to them is emotional and intellectual growth. So here also they are saying intellectual growth. एबे emotion और intelligence with intellectual growth with link कौन? We'll discuss later on also. But they are saying कि emotional growth भी हो, emotional intelligence पर and intellectual growth भी हो. And they are the first person जो मैंने define करते लिए. Usually maximum पिलाने प्राय भावंती कि Goleman, because बहुत बड़े गोलमैन डिस्कशन होते हैं, so they think कि Goleman had invented this thing, but the person who defined EI for the first time और EI रो concept जो मैंने दिए मैंने ना Salovey and Mayer. Goleman was the person who popularized it. Popularize करा. Any doubt so far? किसी doubt हो चिप होंगे? What is the meaning of emotional intelligence?
ସାର୍ ଟିକେ ଆଉ ଟିକେ ରିପିଟ୍ କରିବେ ସେଇଟା ଖାଲି ଖାଲି
को
ସର୍ଟ
part टा? Definition.
ସେଇଟା ଯୋଉ ସେ ହଁ ଡେଫିନେସନ ଇମୋସନାଲ
Emotional intelligence ର definition Salovey and Mayer कहले it is the ability to perceive, assess and regulate emotions. Perceive माने आमे बुझिबा और आइडेंटिफाई करिया कि आम भितरे और अन्य भितरे कौन इमोशन एबे चलछि. Assess माने accurately आमे बुझिया कि मे बी टू व्हाट एक्सटेंट और ड्यू टू व्हाट रीजन. ओके, कौन पई सपोज कि रागी छी, कौन पई आमे रागी छी, कौन पई जने अन्य जने अपसेट अछि, कौन पई आमे अपसेट अछि, कौन पई अन्य जने मोटिवेटेड अछि और बहुत खुशी अछि. All of these means assessing. Okay. And finally to regulate emotion माने हम देखो regulate emotion आमे निजर regulate usually आमे निजर ही करिया. अन्य भी to some extent we can do by the way we talk with them, right? Suppose कई जने आसी तुम ऊपर बहुत जोर रे पार्टी कला. Suppose आसी तुमको कहले कि चक्रधर बाबू आपण कहीं कामटा करना आती, so I'm very angry with you, this and that बहुत सारा कर. You have an option कि तुम रागी कहयो कि मु तो कर देछि सब जिंस आपण कहीं मो ऊपर पार्टी करछि, or else you also have an option कि हसी कहयो ଆଜ୍ଞା ଆପଣ ଯାହା ଇସ୍ୟୁ ଅଛି ମତେ ଭଲରେ କହିବେ ନା, ସବୁ ତ ଭଲରେ ସଲ୍ଭ ହେଇଯିବ ଆଉ ଆପଣ ଖାଲି ରାଗୁଛନ୍ତି ସବୁବେଳେ। Have you seen this kind of interactions? One person come very angrily and the other person will turn it into a sort of a funny interaction and they will mellow down the other person. अन्य जनକୁ regulate in this way also you can regulate others emotions also. So ଏଇଥିରେ ହବ କଣ କି ଯୋଉ ଲୋକ actually ରାଗିକି ଆସିଥିବ ତାକୁ ଆମେ ଯଦି ସେଇ same way ରେ behave କରିବା then the thing will escalate because the person has come determined କି ମତେ ତ ୟାକୁ ଗାଳି ଦେବାର ଅଛି। but ତାକୁ ଯଦି ଆମେ better way ରେ regulate କରିପାରିବା कि ଆମେ ତାକୁ ଏଇ ସେଇ direction ରେ ନେଇପାରିବା ଯୋଉ direction ରେ maybe ତାର emotion ଟା escalate ହବନି rather the person will calm down. So this is an example of regulation ଅନ୍ୟର emotion କୁ regulate କରିବା। we can also regulate ଆଉ ଆମେ ତ ନିଜର emotion କୁ ବି ବହୁତ ଭଲସେ regulate କରିପାରିବା ସେଥିପାଇଁ ଅନ୍ୟର help ବି ନେବା ଦରକାର ନାହିଁ। if we understand and assess our own emotions well then we can regulate our own emotions, right? Suppose you are feeling upset because you are unable to clear the exam। ଏବେ ତମର suppose prelims list ରେ ନାଁ ନଥିଲା, okay, so you have given a lot of effort, so how are you able to regulate your emotion? ତୁମେ ନିଜକୁ ବି self motivate ବି କରିପାରିବ plus you will also be able to make yourself understand कि ठीक ଅଛି ए ବର୍ଷ ଯଦି list ରେ ନାଁ ନାହିଁ ଠିକ ଅଛି next year list ରେ ନାଁ ଆସିବ ମେ ବି ଅଳ୍ପ କିଛି mistake ଯୋଗୁ ମୋର ରହିଯାଇଛି so ସେଇ mistake ଗୁଡା ମୁଁ ସୁଧାରି ଦେବି so that next time it will be I'll be on the list। so this is also an example of regulating emotion। so our
सर
ability to perceive, assess and regulate emotions। yes।
सर जो इमोशन इंटेलिजेंस को पार्ट रो आछि कहले एबीसी रो मॉडल रो सर सेटा टिके रिपीट कर दे।
affective affective itself means emotional। human psychology रो तीनटा पार्ट अछि गोटे होछि इमोशनल पार्ट, गोटे होछि थिंकिंग पार्ट that is known as cognitive and another is behavioral। behavioral part is known as cognitive or action part, right? emotion और thinking dita मिसिकी this reflects in our behavior and these are internal factors। now there are some external factors also। for example the situational factor जोटा हला those are external factors। तो ये दुईटा को internal factor plus external factor मिसिकी हम behavior रे show कर, right? how we are going to behave। so affective component रू आसीची। human psychology माने हम सब internal factor गुडा ही देखुचे। this is the see even behavior is external but यार causes are internal, right? so this is the psychological analysis affective cognitive behavioral, okay। now let's come to this part कि डैनियल गोलमैन कौन कले इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस को केमिति से बुझेछन। so Daniel Goleman as I just said this person is he is the person who popularized the concept of EI, right? Salovey and Mayer had given the concept, Goleman actually popularized the concept। so if possible please watch a few videos of Daniel Goleman। से निजे ही ताकर भलो माने बडा स्पीच दैचंती। से हार्वर्ड बिजनेस रिव्यू रे गोटे सेमिनल पेपर लिखिथिले। so this paper actually became the research paper 1998 रे। this became the basis of growth of this field entire field of emotional intelligence। ये गोटे single paper and this person he also wrote many books also emotional intelligence ना रे से गोटे बही भी लिखछन। I also have that book, I have read that book, it's an excellent book although बहुत किसी ऐसे research findings अछि ठीक है technical stuff माने psychology technical stuff अछि but still if you can find it and it is very widely available also you can also read the book। now for example Goleman was giving an example of emotional intelligence in application in life। so से गोटे example बढ़िया example कहले से गोटे notice करथिले से दिने गोटे बस रे जाउ से बस रे तले से चढ़िले यूजुअली कोन ना यूएस रो जो बस ड्राइवर माने भी कोव कंट्री रो बस ड्राइवर सेमानकर कोन फरक पडुची सेमाने बस गाड़ी चलौथान बट सेदिन कोन ला सेई पर्टिकुलर बस ड्राइवर टा इमितिया गोटे लोकटे थिले इवन गोलमैन जेतले बस रे चढ़िले the driver actually said very brightly, okay, बहुत enthusiastically से कहला गुड मॉर्निंग सर आपण कुआडे जाउछन गोलमैन सेड कि आई एम गोइंग देयर कहला ओके सर पसंद देन एमती गोलमैन नोटिस कले से ड्राइवर रो बिहेवियर जेते लोक एमती से बस चढ़ु थांदी से ड्राइवर समस्त को पर्सनली ग्रीट करता है किछि किछि छोट छोट जिंस कहता है प्लस जतले गाड़ी तार स्टार्ट हला देन ही वाज कंटीन्यूअसली टॉकिंग टू हिज एंटायर पैसेंजर्स कि देखंतु आपन को लेफ्ट हैंड साइड रे सपोज एई न्यूयॉर्क रो एई बिल्डिंग अछि राइट हैंड साइड रे एई बिल्डिंग अछि एठी एई फिल्म रो शूटिंग हेतला सेठी सेई एई इशू हेतला एठी गोटे बढ़िया कैफेटेरिया अछि एठी सकाळे आपन ब्रेकफास्ट करिया आस करिए and Goldman gradually noticed कि initially ଯେତିକି ଯୋଉ passenger ଥିଲେ ସକାଳୁ ସକାଳୁ ସବୁ ଚଢୁଥିଲେ ସମସ୍ତେ ଟେନସନ ରେ ଥିଲେ ଓକେ କି କେମିତି ଆମେ ଟାଇମ ରେ ପହଞ୍ଚିବା କାହା ଘରେ କିଛି ଗୋଟେ ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ ଚାଲିଛି ବଟ୍ ବାଇ ଦ ଟାଇମ ସେମାନେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ବସ ରୁ ଓହ୍ଲେଇଲେ ସମସ୍ତେ ହାପି ଥିଲେ and they were smiling ତ ତାଙ୍କର ମୁଡ ଟା ବେଟର ହେଇଯାଇଥିଲା is this not an example of emotional intelligence now Daniel Goleman said कि this bus driver is nothing less than a modern day saint କି ଗୋଟେ ମହାତ୍ମା ଠୁ କମ ନୁହଁ in the sense କି ସେ ତାଙ୍କ ସେ ଡ୍ରାଇଭର ତାର ନିଜର ସ୍ମଲ ୱେ ରେ ଛୋଟ ଛୋଟ ୱେ ରେ ବି he was able to make others lives better at least କିଛି ଲୋକଙ୍କର ଡେ ଟାକୁ ତ ବେଟର କରିପାରିଲା so ଏଇଭଳିଆ କିଛି ଲୋକ ନିଶ୍ଚୟ ତମେ ଲାଇଫ ରେ ଦେଖିଥିବ very very enthusiastic very or even if not enthusiastic they are able to make yourself feel better similarly negative ତାର opposite ବାଲା ବି କିଛି ଲୋକ ଦେଖିଥିବ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଦେଖା ହେଲା ମାନେ ତମ ମୁଣ୍ଡ ମାନେ ତୁମର ଦିନଟା ଖରାପ ହେଲା ଭଳିଆ ଲାଗିବ ତାଙ୍କ ଏକ୍ସପ୍ରେସନ ଫେସିଆଲ ଏକ୍ସପ୍ରେସନ ଠୁ ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ କରିକି ତାଙ୍କ ସବୁ କଥା ତାଙ୍କୁ ନେଗେଟିଭ ହିଁ କହିବେ ସପୋଜ ୟୁ ଲାଷ୍ଟ କି ଆଉ ଭାଇ ଦେଶରେ କଣ ହାଲଚାଲ ଚାଲିଛି ଦେଶର ଅବସ୍ଥା କଣ ଦେଶର ଅବସ୍ଥା ତ ବହୁତ ଖରାପ ହେଲାଣି କିନ୍ତୁ ପଚାର ଭାଇ ତୁମର କଣ ଚାଲିଛି ମୋର ଆଉ କଣ କହିବି ମୋର ତ ଲାଇଫରେ ଆଉ କିଛି ନାହିଁ ସବୁ ବର୍ବାଦ ହେଇଛି ଦେନ୍ ତମେ କହିବି ଆଚ୍ଛା ଏନିୱେ ମୋ ନିଜ ଲାଇଫ କଥା ସେୟାର ହେଇଛି କି ମୋ ଲାଇଫ ଏମିତି ପ୍ରମୋସନ ହେଇଛି ପ୍ରମୋସନ ନା କଣ ଅଛି ଚାକିରି ଆଜି ରହିବ କି କାଲି ଯିବ କିଛି କଣ ଗ୍ୟାରେଣ୍ଟି ଅଛି so they are these kind of people are opposite of that everything is negative for them and they will actually make you depressed right so we have this continuum in which people exist in which people are either they are able to either make your life better or they will make your life worse there are many people in the middle also जो माने कि they are completely neutral ସେମାନଙ୍କ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ ତମେ ଯେମିତି ବିହେଭ କରେ ସେମାନେ ବି ତମ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ ସେମିତି ବିହେଭ କରେ but we should try to be in this end of the spectrum where we are able to regulate our as well as others emotions well right so this is the meaning of emotional intelligence how we are going to apply emotional intelligence in our life in any case let us first see what are the components of emotional intelligence now Goldman କହିଲେ କି ପାଞ୍ଚଟା emotional intelligence ର ପାଞ୍ଚଟା component ଅଛି you can remember this by the mnemonic arms ARMES ତ ତା ଭିତରୁ first ତିନିଟା arm ହଉଛି intrapersonal components these are the internal or within the person internal ତ କହିବାନି within the person within the person and ମାନେ single person and these are ଏଇ ଦୁଇଟା ହଉଛି ES ହଉଛି interpersonal means between persons between multiple persons so intrapersonal ମାନେ କଣ ଯୋଉଟା ସେ ଲୋକର ନିଜ ଭିତରେ ଅଛି self awareness self regulation and self motivation ବେଳେବେଳେ କେବଳ motivation ଲେଖା ହେଇଥାଏ ଏଠି usually this means self motivation which is inside the person we are aware of our emotions we are able to regulate our emotions and we are able to motivate ourselves right so all of these are internal to the person right now there are some interpersonal components that between the persons empathy we'll go into detail ki empathy ra mane kon and social skills so these are between the persons right not within one person but this is manifested between multiple people right? otherwise ତୁମେ ନିଜ ପାଇଁ ନିଜେ କଣ empathy କଣ ଦେଖିବ କି social skill କଣ ନିଜ ଉପରେ practice କରିବ empathy and social skills are practiced on other people but self awareness self regulation self motivation these are internal now let us first come to this part self awareness ମାନେ କଣ ନା understanding or recognizing own emotions ଆମେ କଥା ହେଇଥିଲେ ନିଜ emotion କୁ ଭଲ ଭାବରେ ବୁଝିବ କି why you are behaving in certain way right similarly you are able to label feelings this is also very important point labeling of feelings now ତମେ କହ labeling of feelings ମାନେ କଣ this is what it means suppose consider one point କି suppose ତମ ସାଙ୍ଗ ଆସି କହିଲା କି ଭାଇ ମୋର କଣ ହେଇଛି ମୋର exam ଗୋଟେ recently ଗୋଟେ exam ଦେଇଥିଲି ସେ exam ମୋର clear ହେଇଯାଇଛି right so you should be happy for that suppose you got really angry and you started shouting is it କି ତମେ କଣ କହିଲ କଣ ତମ exam clear କରୁଛି exam ତ ଆଜିକାଲି ସବୁ ଘୋଟାଲା ଚାଲିଛି so god knows ତୁ କେମିତି exam clear କଲୁ the person will obviously be offended କହିବେ କି ଠିକ ଅଛି ମୁଁ ଭାଇ ତମ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ କିଛି ଆଉ share କରିବି ନାହିଁ now later on if you try to understand ki why did you behave in this way you try to label your feelings ki was this ଗୋଟେ ଆମେ ତାକୁ label ଦବାକୁ ଚାହିଁବା ଆଦି was this anger or maybe it was jealousy then when you understand ki it was jealousy now you can also further label this ki was this because of my own failures Maybe it is because of my own failures, and it is also because of my own immaturity. Yeah, I should have been happy for the person's success. Why did I get angry? So actually initially तुम जहाँ को anger वाली label करते हो कि मु रागी वाली बोली, later on you understood कि it was jealousy, and from that you understood कि actual reason was immaturity. So this is the meaning of labeling feeling, कि आमे कौन feel करछे ताको गोटे label दवा, and this is very important in understanding yourself, to understand your own emotions. Many people actually there are many people in this life, many highly educated people also who cannot accurately label their feelings. Right? And ସେମାନେ ସେଥିପାଇଁ ବହୁତ ସାରା social skill ବି ତାଙ୍କର under developed ଥାଏ. Right? For example, suppose କେହି ବି ଆସି social ଗୋଟେ get together ରେ କେହି ତାଙ୍କ ସାଙ୍ଗେ କଥା ହବାକୁ try କଲେ, the person might talk very rudely with them. Now ଏବେ ଲୋକମାନେ ତାଙ୍କ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ ସାଙ୍ଗ ହେବେନି, ତାଙ୍କ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ କିଛି କଥା ହେବେନି. Then the person will think କି ମୋ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ କେହି ଲୋକମାନେ କଥା ହଉନାହାନ୍ତି, why? Because I am superior. Right? ସେଥିପାଇଁ କେହି ମୋ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ କଥା ହଉନାହାନ୍ତି, and they are inferior. See this example of mislabeling. They are not able to correctly understand their own emotions, their own behavior. So mislabel कले कौन हबो? Actually तांकर जहाँ cause अछि और जहाँ तांकर fault अछि सेटा को केबे भी समाने बुझी पारिए नहीं, and they will continue to misbehave. So they will not improve, तांकर personal growth किछि हबा नहीं, personality development भी वाला हबा नहीं. So this is the importance of labeling feelings, right? And this will also help you to get your insight into your own personality, कि what kind of person you are, तुमरो personality केमिति, and from that you will also be able to improve yourself. For example, suppose तुमे को भी social get together रे और social gathering रे तुमे लोकन संगे interact करिया को पसंद करूना, so you will be able to understand कि I am an introvert. तुमे यदि normal case रे introvert हेले किछि issue नहीं, but suppose you are preparing for civil services exam, now then you can understand कि एबे मते introvert हबार point किछि नहीं, and I have to actually extrovert न हेले भी I have to be माने आमे लोकन संगे मिसिया जाले, because why? Because we are going to be public servants, so आमे people को संगे निश्चय मिसिया पड़ियो. So once you get, this is the insight into your personality. So तुम personality कौन बुझी पारलो तुमरो निजर, then once you understand, then you can change your personality, right? But change करिया आगरो हमको तो बुझिया पड़ियो ना आमे निजे कौन, जेपन आमे निजे बुझी पारि ना निजे को सेपन आमे change करि पारिबो नहीं, right? So this is the meaning of self awareness. Now suppose now you understood तुमरो self awareness हे गल कि मु एमितिया टाइप रो पर्सन, मु काहे कि ए सिचुएशन एमितिया बिहेव करे, so you are able to understand yourself. You can label your feelings, you can recognize when you get angry, when you get upset, all of these things. Now comes the second part, self regulation. So once this is remember, so this is the meaning, eta hochi amara identifying of, this part is the identifying of emotions. Now after we identify our emotions, now comes the part of managing or handling our emotions. कि आमे बुझी पारलु कि ओके आमे रागुचु काहे कि आमे काहे अपसेट होचु, एबे आमे निजु केमति रेगुलेट करियो. सो रेगुलेट करिया एथरे माने कोन, मॉडरेशन इन इमोशंस. मॉडरेशन इन इमोशन माने आमे एक्सट्रीम को किछि को जिबानी, वी शुड बी मॉडरेट, आमे सबले मॉडरेट फील करे. नाउ यार पॉइंट कोन, ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस. This is, if we consider, this is the intensity of feeling, right? Intensity of feeling, and this is the passage of time. With time, how much a person is feeling, with what intensity, and these feelings might be any feelings, anger, joy, any of these things, right? But to what intensity or what strength we are feeling the emotions. Now, if you are a person जे कि बहुत खुशी रे बहुत भी खुशी ही जाए, दुख रे बहुत दुखी ही जाए, right? जेतले एक्साइटेड है बहुत एक्साइटेड है और अपसेट फील करले बहुत अपसेट ही जाओ, then what will happen कि तुम लाइफ सारा अपना entire time 24/7 किसी लाइफ रे हैपनिंग चलती है, and this will actually exhaust you. You would have seen that such kind of people get exhausted very soon. ना बहुत जल्दी उत्पात है पे डिया मारिए तापर बहुत जल्दी डाउन कीजिए. So when you have such kind of personality, then you will be less productive. Right? You can think of this, आमे गोटे parallel example यार नबा कि किछि पिला जो माने अछन कि बहुत एक्साइटेड है कि आज किछि गोटे वीडियो देखि देले, आईएएस मोटिवेशन वीडियो, आज 10 घंटा पढि देले, तापर नेक्स्ट 1 वीक पर्यंत किछि पढले नहीं, राइट? पुणी आ गोटे दिन 8 घंटा पढि देले, तापर पुणी आ 2 वीक पर्यंत किछि पढले नहीं. Now this is like that, okay? Up and down, huge ups and downs. Now consider another person who is consistently studying for 6 to 8 hours, but daily he or she is able to study this much. So the fluctuation is less, but consistency is more. The person will be more productive. This person will be less productive. This person will be more productive. Similarly, think of what is the impact of this person on others in his life. एई पर्सन को हैंडल करिया बहुत डिफिकल्ट, बिलीव मी। एई लोक संग एई लोक तमे बाहा पर एई लोक संग रहे तो मुंडा खराब ही। ओके, जैसे खुशी हेले तुम पूरा टेकी दो, दुखी हेले तुम गाली गाली करी तुम माने तुम निजर मूड खराब ही। इफ यू मैरी दिस पर्सन चल लाइफ टिके इजी जी। So I'm giving you just two kind of example, but you can understand कि fluctuation कहीं की है। These are the extremes that we are trying to avoid. We should try to be somewhere like this. And in fact, this entire philosophy of not going to extremes, this is also something that we had discussed. एटा को हमरो बुद्धिस्ट साइकोलॉजी रे कोन कहंदी, सॉरी बुद्धिस्ट फिलोसफी रे
मिडिल पाथ।
वेरी गुड, मिडिल पाथ, माध्यमक मार्ग, माध्यमक। So you see हमरो एंशिएंट फिलोसफी भी एक कथा कहूछ, ऑलवेज टेक द मिडिल पाथ, किसी भी एक्सट्रीम होनी, बहुत खुशी रे बहुत खुशी होनी कि बहुत दुखी रे बहुत दुखी होनी, स्टे इन द मिडिल, राइट। सिमिलरली इफ यू सी हिंदू फिलोसफी रे भी हमर गोटे कांसेप्ट अछि स्थित प्रज्ञ, राइट। स्थित प्रज्ञ माने कोन, हु इज नॉट very happy in very happy situations or does not get upset easily also. Everything he takes everything in equanimity. Maybe यार spelling मत doubt होची। Equanimity माने कि सब जिंसो को हमें equally deal करिए, right? And if you can become this sort of person, then your productivity will also be higher and you will also be able to deal with other people better and your life in general will be better.
सर एटा समभाव कहते ना?
Right, right, समभाव, ठीक। स्थित प्रज्ञ रो गोटे आउटकम माने गोटे कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स होची समभाव, right? ठीक। So we should be this kind of person. This is the meaning of self regulation. हमें extreme को avoid करिए। And specifically if you see को type रो extreme को हमें specifically avoid करिए, anger. Anger if you see this is the destructor of relationships. बहुत सारा वीडियोस रे देखि दियो कि इवन जो लाइफ कोच जो मानु कहले कि लाइफ विषय लोगों को सिखाते, they will always tell you कि don't get angry easily, माने immediately और immediately angry हेले भी don't immediately react, reaction immediately दवा नहीं, hold it back for a time, ये एडवाइस यूजुअली दिया हुआ है। यार पॉइंट कौन कि यदि हमें इमीडिएट रिएक्शन दे दवा तले हमारा संपर्क सब खराब ही हो। ओके, बिकॉज मेनी टाइम्स कौन हमें एंगर इमीडिएटली रिएक्ट नहीं करो, बिकॉज वी डोंट हैव enough information, based on incomplete information we are always reacting। maybe he pare pare to complete reaction आसी, when you are able to understand the other person's perspective सेतल तुमको लागियो कि maybe से लोकर भी किछ ग्राउंड तला से वे एक्ट करियो, and accordingly you should also have been able to handle the person better। so anger specifically you should be able to avoid, right? maybe देखो maybe he pare you are also justified, but you take time, then you respond to the person in your own time। हमें immediately किसी react करें, and specifically I am telling you this is very very important in public service, very important, because you are going to deal with a large number of people। suppose 100 जन लोक तुम ऑफिस को आसीबे दिन रे, जदि 99 लोक भी भलो बिहेव करले, definitely one person will behave in a way that will want you to hit out कि आज तो याको बाड़े जाने। but you have to understand, for example I'm giving you one example। if you come to certain parts of Odisha, suppose you are from coastal Odisha, suppose you are from Cuttack, Bhubaneswar or somewhere, and suppose you are posted in some part of, let us say, Keonjhar or Koraput or Malkangiri, right? it is possible कि सेठिकार लोकल जो लैंग्वेज अछि, लोकल कल्चर रे सेठी कोन सेठी रेस्पेक्ट रो लैंग्वेज टा डिफरेंट नो, दैट इज सिमिलर एज गोटे नॉर्मल कोलोकियल लैंग्वेज, कोलोकियल तो ना कोन डे टू डे लैंग्वेज, राइट? फॉर एग्जांपल आमे कोन भाबू तू तुमे आ आपण, आमे को कि आपण ता रेस्पेक्टफुल, तू तुमेटा डिसरेस्पेक्टफुल। बट सपोज देयर आर मेनी ट्राइब्स, ट्राइबल पीपल बहुत ऐसे डिस्ट्रिक्ट अछन जो माने से डिफरेंस जानि ना, सो से माने किछि डिसरेस्पेक्ट मेन करंतिनी। सो तुमे हेटी पोस्टेड हेते सने आसी कहे आ कलेक्टर बाबू तुम कामटा टी कर दे, आ तू टी एई कामटा मोर कर दे, हला मोर घर नै मते घर गोटे कर दे। सपोज यू आर अनेबल टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज द लोकल कल्चर, तुम यदि रागी जाई कहे कि अरे तुम कोन जाना नै कलेक्टर संगे केमते कथा हो पड़े, now you are unable to understand their perspective। now they will not change, the person who is going to change is you have to understand ki why the person behaved in certain way। जदि तुम तार बैकग्राउंड जानि कि चलो से माने किछि हार्म मीन करि नांती, से माने किछि डिसरिस्पेक्ट मीन करि नांती, that is their natural way of talking, and in fact it is also a sort of term of endearment। they talk to their close ones like that also. So that you will not feel offended then. So you will be able to control your anger, and you will be able to better deal with people. So this is very very important in public service. ହେଇପାରେ ତମେ କୋଉଠି ପୋଷ୍ଟେଡ୍ ଅଛ, ତୁମଠୁ ବଡ ଏଜ୍ ର ଲୋକମାନେ ସେଠି କିଛି ଅଫିସର୍ସ ଅର୍ promotees might be there. So they might think of you as your their younger siblings, or even the ତାଙ୍କର ଏଜ୍ ହେଇଥିବ ତମର ବାପା ମାଙ୍କ ଏଜ୍, right? So they might behave accordingly. ତ ସେମାନେ ତମକୁ ଶ୍ରଦ୍ଧାରେ they might call you by your name or something. Now if you are getting offended କି ମୁଁ ତ ତାଙ୍କଠୁ rank ରେ ଉପରେ ଅଛି, ସେମାନେ ମୋ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ କାହିଁକି ଏମିତି behave କରୁଛନ୍ତି, you should not get offended, right? So this is the meaning of also one type of self regulation, that you are able to understand why other are behaving towards yourself, right? Any doubts so far?
सर किंतु बेले बेले जोटा कि जो माने टिके रागी के जो माने टिके स्ट्रिक्ट से मान गते ग्लोरीफाई कोन पे करा जाए
माने ऑफिसर मान को जो माने बहुत रागे हैं,
हाँ जो माने टिके माने ये करन ता इन सोसाइटी रे भी नॉर्मल टिके ग्लोरीफाई करा जाए कोन
सोसाइटी रे ग्लोरीफाई करिया का तो बहुत साइकोलॉजिकल एंड सोशियोलॉजिकल रीजन भी अछि, स्पेसिफिकली इन ए सोसाइटी व्हिच हैज ह्यूज इनइक्वालिटी, एंड जो थरे पावर हंग्री जो थे सब लोक माने थिबे सेथरे यूजुअली ए सब दबंग टाइप रो ऑफिसर मान को बहुत रेस्पेक्ट दिया हुए, व्हिच इज आल्सो आवर काइंड ऑफ सोसाइटी. एंड दिस इज समथिंग व्हेन यू ग्रो अप यू विल आल्सो अंडरस्टैंड कि बहुत ही बकवास जिंस. तो किछि लोक देखिथे ऑफिसर माने तांको पूरा यूट्यूब वीडियो ब्लॉगर ही छन, रास्ता रे बुली बुली लोकन गाली दउछन कि तुम ए भूलटा काई करछो, से काई भूल करछि. यू वुड आल्सो अंडरस्टैंड मु कहा कथा कहउछ. तांकर भी ह्यूज फैन फॉलोइंग अछि सर, आईएस सर बहुत बढ़िया काम करछन. बट जो लोक माने टिके सेंसिबल दे विल अंडरस्टैंड दिस इज कंप्लीट गार्बेज. दिस इज नॉट हाउ यू शुड बिहेव विथ पीपल, राइट? तो काहे कि लोक माने ग्लोरीफाई करछन, सम काइंड ऑफ इनसिक्योरिटी माइट आल्सो बी देयर. जो लोक ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड, जो लोक फॉर एग्जांपल ए सब लोकन को माने ग्लोरीफाई करन, जो माने निजे लाइफ रे कबे पावर को एक्सपीरियंस करना, हु आर फॉर एग्जांपल हु हैव फेल्ट पावरलेस ऑल द टाइम. तो एई वाला किछि पावरलेस पीपल ସେମାନେ ସବୁବେଳେ ପାୱାର ପଛରେ ଯଦି ଗୋଡେଇଥିବେ, ଫର ଦେମ୍ what is a pretension of power will also seem very powerful, right? So ଏଇଭଳିଆ କିଛି ଆଇଏସ୍ ଅଫିସର ଯୋଉମାନେ ଯାଇକି ରାସ୍ତାରେ ପବ୍ଲିକ କୁ ଡରଉଛନ୍ତି, ତ ତାଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ ସେମାନେ ମାନେ ହିରୋ ଟାଇପ ର ହେଇଛି, ହିରୋ ବର୍ସିପିଂ. ଦିସ୍ ଇଜ ଅଲସୋ ସମଥିଙ୍ଗ ନୋନ୍ ଏଜ ହିରୋ ବର୍ସିପିଂ, ଠିକ ଅଛି? ବଟ ୟାର ରିଜନ କଣ? ବିକଜ ସେଇ ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କର ସେତିକି ଅଣ୍ଡରଷ୍ଟାଣ୍ଡିଂ ଡେଭଲପ ହେଇନି, ସେମାନଙ୍କ ପାଖରେ ସେତିକି ପାୱାର ହିଁ ନାହିଁ, ତ ସେମାନଙ୍କୁ ଲାଗେ ପାୱାରଟା ହିଁ ଆମର ଲାଇଫର ସବୁ ସଲ୍ୟୁସନ. ଦିସ୍ ଇଜ ଦ ରିଜନ. But with maturity, you will understand कि एड़ा सब एमती बिहेव करिया कथा नु. This is not a sign of a good officer. जे कि रास्ते रे लोगों को गाली दो. Even if what they are saying that is justified, even if suppose रास्ते रे बहुत लोग अछन जो माने पब्लिक प्लेस रे किछि भूल काम करूछन, but you as a public servant you are not supposed to go there and scold people. Like किछि होछि law, according to law there will action should be taken. In any case, let us come to this part ki motivation. Then the third component of emotional intelligence is motivation. Motivation माने कौन? Motivation नो गोटे component होचे passion or drive, right? Which is something internal. Now let us try to understand कि माने कौन passion or drive or internal. एटे दुईटा concept अछि. Let me just add something here. Now there is a concept which is known as different types of motivation. So in the example लिखि पारिबो यदि बहुत भलो. One is known as intrinsic motivation. One is known as extrinsic motivation. हमें एमते डिस्कस करथिलु intrinsic value and instrumental value. सेमितिया similarly motivation अछि गोटे होछि intrinsic, गोटे होछि extrinsic. What is the meaning? What is the difference? Intrinsic motivation होछि सेही टाइप रो motivation or drive or passion जो थरे तुम खुशी मिलुछि for the sake of itself. For the sake of itself माने सेही जिंसटा पई तुम खुशी लागुछि. For example, think of something playing, acting. गोटे एक्टर को यदि एक्टिंग करिवारे ही मजा लाଗୁଛି, that is intrinsic motivation. गोटे तुमको यदि पढ़िबार मजा लाଗୁଛି, that is intrinsic motivation. So you are not studying to for any exam perspective ରୁ तुम पढुना, तुमको खुशी लाଗୁଛି, तुमको इच्छा होଉଛି, for example you are reading a novel. This comes from intrinsic motivation. Now what is the meaning of extrinsic motivation? किसी external reward or achievement ପାଇଁ जोटा हमें करू. For example, you are studying for an exam. here you are acting for money, again you are playing for money. So these are you are doing something for reward or achievement, right? So the point is you will be able to understand ki gote jinsa hochi internal sources ru asuchi, gote jinsa external sources ru asuchi. Now my question to you is, can you guess कि कोउ टाइप रो मोटिवेशन टा बेटर फॉर अस एंड कोउथरे हमरो बेटर आउटकम आसे? कैन यू टेल मी? वेरी इजी क्वेश्चन.
Internal.
internal.
वेरी गुड. ऑफ कोर्स इंट्रिंसिक मोटिवेशन नु तो बेटर आउटकम सब बळे आसे. व्हाई? बिकॉज़ एक्सट्रीम ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस आल्सो. एटा हमरो एग्जाम रिलेटेड रे भी गोटे बहुत बड़ा एस्पेक्ट अछि. बिकॉज़ एतले एक्सट्रिंसिक मोटिवेशन तमर रहइबो कि मु पढुची कोते एग्जाम पे, एंड एग्जाम पे भी कोन पढुची, सपोज मु आईएएस ऑफिसर, तुम पढ़ुच एथि नुह कि पब्लिक सर्वेंट हो, तुम पढ़ुच एथि बिकॉज यू वांट टू बी एन आईएएस ऑफिसर. दैट मीन्स तुम गोटे टैग पे पढ़ुच. So here when it is extrinsic motivation, सतरे तुम परफॉर्मेंस अगेन एमती अप डाउन हो. There will be huge fluctuation because आज गोटे टॉपर मोटिवेशन वीडियो देखि देला, आज अधिक समय पढ़ी देला, काली देखि पारलो नहीं, काली पढ़िलो नहीं. Whereas if you are doing it for the pleasure, then your fluctuation will be like this, and here you will be able to achieve more because there will be consistency, and this part is not consistent. ସେଥିପାଇଁ ମୁଁ ତମକୁ ସବୁବେଳେ କହୁନି, ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟିଂ ରୁ ହିଁ ତମକୁ କହୁଛି କି ପ୍ଲିଜ ସବୁ आईएएस ग्रांड एंट्री वीडियो, ओके, को आईएएस जाई कि कोठी बहुत सारा प्राइस पाइले, किए जाई कि किए को आईएएस दु जण बाहर, ए सब वीडियो प्लीज देखो नाही, बिकॉज़ ए सब जिंस तुमको एक्सट्रिंसिक मोटिवेशन दो व्हिच इज नॉट लास्टिंग. इफ यू अंडरस्टैंड, इफ यू आर गेटिंग प्लेजर फॉर आउट ऑफ रीडिंग इटसेल्फ, if you want to do public service to help people itself, now these will create intrinsic motivation and the outcome would be much better because there would be more consistency, right? This is the meaning of passion or drive, or this is a type of motivation, right? Even within motivation you can differentiate between these two parts, okay? Similarly, consider another aspect which is known as delayed gratification. Now what is the meaning of delayed gratification? गोटे बहुत ही फेमस एक्सपेरिमेंट थिला, ताको आज वाल्टर मिशेल्स मार्शमैलो एक्सपेरिमेंट. तुम भीतर किछि एटा को मे बी किछि फेसबुक और व्हाट्सएप फॉरवर्ड रे पढ़थियो, द मार्शमैलो एक्सपेरिमेंट. गोटे बहुत ही फेमस एक्सपेरिमेंट हेतिला. मार्शमैलो माने गोटे स्पेसिफिक टाइप ऑफ स्वीट, ओके, धळा धळा स्वीट गोटे पिला मानकु बहुत पसंद है. तो एई जण साइकोलॉजिस्ट थिले, से कोन कले, से जानिया को चाहुतिले कि जदि किछि पिलांक भितर किछि इनेट टेंडेंसी अछि कि समनको इमीडिएटली गोटे जिंस दरकार, राइट? आउ किछि पिला कोन आमे तांको बुझाइ देले, दे आर एबल टू कंट्रोल देमसेल्व्स, so they are able to control their feelings or motivations. now वाल्टर मिशेल जानिया को चाहुतिले कि आमे यदि एई भला दुईटा ग्रुप रे पिलांको डिवाइड कर दवा, जो माने कर एटा हाई अछि और जो मनकर एटा लो अछि, एंड तांको आमे फॉलो अप करिया लेटर ऑन, तांको भितर किए बेसी लाइफ रे सक्सेसफुल होछि. then he wanted to see ki whether there is a link between success in life with this ability, the ability to control their own feelings or motivations, okay? so एतरे कोन कराला, किछि पिलांको निया गला गोटे रूम भितरे, देखिबाटा यूट्यूब रे भी देखि दो से वीडियो रा, बहुत ही फनी वीडियो. गोटे रूम भितरे तांको लॉक करके रखा, लॉक करना रूम भितरे छोटो पिलांको बसाला, तांको सामने एमती मार्शमैलो से स्वीट बॉक्स रखा. ना जो रिसर्चर मन तांको आनिथिले, तांको कहले कि तांको संगे एमती कोन टे चिट चैट कले, तापर कहले कि अच्छा बाबू देखो मु टिके बाहर को एबे जाउची, देखो तुमे मु आसिया भितरे स्वीट टाको खाइबनी, मार्शमैलो टाको खाइबनी, हला, किन सेटा ओपनली टेबल पर रखा हला. देन द पर्सन वेंट आउटसाइड, आ एठी कैमरा लागितला, सो दे वर वाचिंग फ्रॉम आउटसाइड कि पिला माने कोन रिएक्ट करछन. सो दीज आर किड्स. ना यांक भितरु किछि पिला जो माने कंट्रोल निजो करि पारलेनी, किछि पिला कोन इमीडिएटली जतले रिसर्चर बाहर को गले से सांग सांग खाइ देल, बिकॉज़ दे वर अनेबल टू कंट्रोल देमसेल्फ. आउ किछि पिला थिले जो माने कंट्रोल कले निजो. so accordingly they divided the kids की तांकर लिस्ट बनेले कि किए निजो कंट्रोल कर पारथले, को पिला माने निजो कंट्रोल कर पारि नथिले, and they followed their career progression. and you would of course you would by now would have guessed कि जो पिला माने निजो कंट्रोल कर पारथले in general समान लाइफ रे बेसी सक्सेसफुल बाहरले. so this is the meaning of delayed gratification, where we are able to delay our gratification in the sense कि हमको immediately जदि किसी जिंस दरकार भी आमे निजो कंट्रोल कर परिया, हमर ग्रेटिफिकेशन को कंट्रोल करिया. इमीडिएटली आमे कहबेनी नहीं मते एटा दरकार माने एटा दरकार. so एथरे भी कैन यू अंडरस्टैंड कि पेरेंटिंग रो रोल केते इंपोर्टेंट. आमे यदि पिला को जहा डिमांड कले इमीडिएटली ताको देई दवा, तांकर से गोटे ग्रेट और पैशन गोटे डेवलप होबो नै. Okay, and this will also reflect in their behavior. They will not be able to develop in their lives. So is this not an example of self motivation, the ability to motivate or control your own desires also, right? Similarly, resilience or perseverance. Resilience, grit, perseverance, these are similar things, similar concepts. यार माने कौन हमें बहुत सारा ऑब्स्टैकल लाइफ रे जो आसीओ से ऑब्स्टैकल को ओवरकम करिकी वी विल कीप ऑन मूविंग फॉरवर्ड. दिस इज द मीनिंग resilience or perseverance. So this is also an example of motivation. After all, self motivation हमें कहीं करिया resilience और perseverance पे ही करिया तो जितने भी problem आसीओ we should be able to overcome them and we should be able to keep going on. Okay, suppose pre हेलानी तो ठीक अछि ए वर्ष हेलानी नेक्स्ट थर हबो. suppose next year रे pre हे गला मेंस रे फेल हे गला तो ठीक अछि again self motivate yourself कि नेक्स्ट थर एथर तो चलो pre हे गला हेतला नेक्स्ट थर मेंस भी क्लियर कर दे. So again pre हला मेंस हला इंटरव्यू रे कटि गला. Then you will again motivate yourself कि ମୁଁ बहुत ही क्लोज आसीकी बहुत सक्सेस रो बहुत क्लोज आसीकी फेरी हिची. So I should try again. So gradually one day it will happen that you will be able to clear all the stages and you will be successful. So एथिरे को हमर component टा काम करछि बेसी self motivation. You are able to motivate yourself, right? Any doubts so far?
Sir, this is the self-control, both pain and pleasure situation. This is the stable of man. Sir, এটা কই
মানে
পারে
কোন कहछ बुझ कोन कहले बुझ पाली.
This is the self control of both pain and pleasure situation.
हाँ सेटा सेटा थिला हमर सेल्फ रेगुलेशन पार्ट रे बेसी थिला मॉडरेशन ऑफ इमोशंस फॉर एग्जांपल. तुमे जो कथाटा कहला सेटा एई पार्ट रे बेसी आसीबो मॉडरेशन इन इमोशन. हमें एक्सट्रीम को अवॉइड करिया माने बेसी पेन हो कि प्लेजर हो ता दुटा को बेसी एक्सट्रीम रे नबा नहीं. हमें सब स्थित प्रज्ञ भली मिडिल ग्राउंड रे नबा, राइट? मोटिवेशन इज
sir, ସେଥିରେ
also linked to
ମୋ
self regulation also. Yes, हाँ पछ को
ଏଟାକୁ ଆମେ ପେସେନ୍ସ ରେ ତାକୁ ନେଇ ପାରିବା ନା
patience.
ଧୈର୍ଯ୍ୟ ହିସାବରେ
Yes,
ହଁ
self motivation रे delayed gratification ର गोटा patience भी आसीबो definitely. जो माने पेशेंस बेसी रखी परिबे ता माने से माने कोन सान को इमीडिएट ग्रेटिफिकेशन दरकार नहीं. दे आर एबल टू डिले देयर ग्रेटिफिकेशन. सो दैट मींस दे आर एबल टू वर्क फॉर अ लॉन्गर पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. जे निजरो जे पेशेंस बेसी रखियो तो से बेसी टाइम पर्यंत लंबा टाइम पर्यंत तो सेम काम ऊपर काम कर परिबे कंटीन्यूअस. देयरफॉर दैट मींस कि तार बेसी चांसेस इज सक्सेसफुल होबा, राइट? ओके, नाउ कम टू दिस पार्ट. अच्छा म्यूट कर दियो तुम्हारा ऑडियो. आई थिंक चक्रधर, राइट? ऑडियो म्यूट कर दियो. Now come to this part, empathy. Now what is the meaning of empathy? This is also something we had discussed I think in one of our ethics classes कि यार गोटे hierarchy अछि. Initially there is the first virtue is known as sympathy, then the next virtue is known as empathy, next there is compassion, then there is altruism. So ये जो left hand side रे arrow टा को देखो जो this arrow shows the increasing level of moral value कि केमिति moral value हमर increase करछि from sympathy to altruism. So let us try to understand कि यार माने कौन. So initially sympathy means आमे sympathize करिया अन्य लोकों को संगे माने आमे तारो दुखटाकू आमे कहया कि ओके लोकटा बहुत दुखी अछि. ओके, सो कहार कि छोटे मिसफॉर्च्यून और मिजरी किछि अछि. सो वी आर एबल टू सो आमे ताको सिंपैथी देखिया. सो वी आर एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड कि चलो ए लोकटा बहुत दुखी अछि. देन देयर इज नेक्स्ट स्टेप इज एम्पैथी. एम्पैथी कोन कि not only you are able to understand, you are also putting yourself in the shoe of the other person. So you are able to see their point of view, their perspective. तुम्हें तुम्हें भाबियो कि मु जति से लोक जगह रे थांती मु केमिया फील करता. So this is something higher than sympathy. Okay, for example suppose कोन हला किछ गोटे कहार गोटे पिलाटी रो डेथ हे गला. Okay, so sympathy means तुम्हें जाई तां कहबो very sad to hear this, so I hope you are able to recover all of this thing. Empathy माने तुम भाबियो कि यार मोर यदि पिलाटर एमती हेतांता मते केमिया फील होता. Now this is something which is higher than sympathy. So this is putting yourself in the shoes of others. आमे अन्यर पर्सपेक्टिव रे जिनसर बुझिया. So एथरे intensity of feeling is also more, right? Higher intensity feeling एथरे अछि. now empathy sangre tale action kichi helping action misi jiwo ebe tume ta pai kebal dukho kornu tume kahi ki taku kemti ame help kariya. Now this is what is known as compassion, right? So you are saying ki tankar pilate morial, then you are saying ki okay, let me help them. So you are asking them ki mu apanko pai kon kari pare. So suppose you are arranging for the funeral, tankar jaha kichi arrangement hela, then you are saying ki I will also help you to maybe day to day life re bi kichi help kari. So action jetale misi jiwo empathy sangre, that is known as compassion. And finally, when this compassion is without any selfish intention, that is when compassion is selfless, then that kind of compassion or action is known as altruism. So this is compassion, selfless compassion towards others, अन्य को help करिया without any self motivation or personal motivation, that is known as altruism. So can you see how this is increasing from sympathy to empathy to compassion to altruism? So empathy means putting oneself in the shoes of others, that is others perspective, and to establish also interpersonal rapport. Interpersonal rapport mane ame loko sangre gote trust build kariya, so they are able to trust us, right? So this is the equation I have given. Sympathy plus others perspective is empathy, empathy plus action or helping action is compassion, compassion plus selflessness is altruism, right? ei duita jo diagram au amaro jo equation duita man rakho, you will be able to write better answer. So this is the example I think I had given earlier also. So for example, ଯେତେବେଳେ prime minister ଯାଇଥିଲେ ଆମର ଚନ୍ଦ୍ରାୟନ 2 ର failure ପରେ, he consoled the chairman of ISRO at that time, K Sivan, I think he was the chairman of ISRO. So ସେ ତାଙ୍କୁ consolation ଦେଇଥିଲେ. So this is an example of empathy. So from this we are able to understand कि maybe the prime minister was able to understand others point of view, ଅନ୍ୟର ଦୁଃଖ ଦେଖି. So what is the point of this? ଯେତେବେଳେ ଗୋଟେ ଦେଶର leader ଯେତେବେଳେ ଏଇଭଳିଆ ଗୋଟେ message ଦଉଛନ୍ତି ଲୋକଙ୍କୁ କି we are with you, ଏମିତିଆ ନାହିଁ କି ତୁମର କେବଳ ସକ୍ସେସ୍ ଟାଇମ୍ ରେ ଆମେ ଅଛୁ ଆଉ ଫେଲିୟର ଟାଇମ୍ ରେ ଆମେ ତୁମକୁ ରିଜେକ୍ଟ କରିଦଉଛୁ, because he understood that the scientist had given their everything, right? So this sent a message कि the government is with its leaders, right? And this message was also one of the factors. I'm not saying this is the only factor. So major role तो still scientist ମାନଙ୍କର ହିଁ ଥିଲା Chandrayaan 3 ର success ପାଇଁ, but this is also one of the reasons at least for the success of Chandrayaan 3, right? We can argue that because there was political support also. So this is the importance of empathy. When you are able to empathize with others, you are also able to motivate the other people and they can be successful, right? Now this is the example of, I should write this, I think this is an example of empathy, right? But tell me, prime minister tanko empathize kala pare, was prime minister building rockets himself? Se rocket karunatile because he was not a scientist. So empathy sangre kichi action, बहुत बेसी action किछि नथिला, but here you see, here there is empathy plus action. So this part is known as compassion, right? Here you see Mother Teresa, she was able to feed the poor or leprosy patients. कोलकाता रो leprosy patient मान ପାଇଁ से charitable trust करथिले, लोकन को जाकी help करथिले. Now not only she had sympathy and empathy, but sympathy and empathy पर she was also taking action to help others. That is known as compassion, right? Similarly, you see this photo. This he is a person who is known as some Kaustav Divegaonkar. Okay, he was the collector of one district in Maharashtra. तो तांको ऑफिस को जतल जण गोटे फिजिकली हैंडिकैप्ड पर्सन आसिले, से देखिले कि सी चेयर रे बस परना. तो कलेक्टर तांको कहले कि आपण बसंत चेयर रे, बट बिकॉज ऑफ हिज ओन फिजिकल प्रॉब्लम्स द पर्सन सेड कि नाही सर मु बसी परिबिनी चेयर रे, मु तळे बसछि. तो कलेक्टर को निजो खराब लागला कि यार मो ऑफिस को आछन लोक माने तळे जदी जणे बसछि, आई शुड आल्सो सिट विथ देम on the floor. So he went and sat on the floor. The point is कि जेतल जणे लोक आसी, for some reason he is not able to sit in the chair, but you are sitting on your chair. So this will create a sort of गोटे सिचुएशन नु तुमको लागियो कि एई लोकटा होची सुपीरियर, एई लोकटा होची inferior, right? So from his action he was able to signify, or he was able to signal that I'm also one of you and you can tell me your problems, and then he listened to the grievance and he solved the grievance. So is this not also an example of empathy as well as some action also? You can also call it compassion. You can also call it empathy as well, right? Is this not an example of emotional intelligence? Now the collector was able to understand the emotion of the other people and he was able to respond. Right. देखिए तुम्हें यूजुअली जेतबे को भी डिस्ट्रिक्ट सपोज यू आर जॉइनिंग एनी डिस्ट्रिक्ट यूजुअली एट द टेबल तुम जो डिस्ट्रिक्ट कॉन्फ्रेंस हॉल टेबल थी ना यही भाया थी so at the head of the table usually the collector will sit or if you are for example if you are in police service SP will sit here and other officers will sit here तांको भितर जो सीनियर ऑफिसर माने से माने कलेक्टर को पाखरे बसी जो जूनियर ऑफिसर माने टिके दूर रे बसी so maybe I'm giving you a suggestion suppose you are in the service and you want to change something in your office what you can do is you can create a round table and you will sit at any place and you will make others sit at any other place that you want so here you are signifying that I'm also one of you and we are all equals here right so here also symbol or symbolism also works a lot to empower people if you want you can suppress people or through your actions you can also empower people right I have given another example Gandhiji touring Bengal during the partition to stop violence or riots ଯେତେବେଳେ କଂଗ୍ରେସ ଅନ୍ୟ ଲିଡର ମାନେ ଦିଲ୍ଲୀରେ ଥିଲେ ପାୱାର ସେୟାରିଂ ପାଇଁ ସବୁ ବିଜି ଥିଲେ ସେତେବେଳେ ଗାନ୍ଧୀଜୀ ବେଙ୍ଗଲରେ ଟୁର କରୁଥିଲେ ପାର୍ଟିସନ ଟାଇମର ଯୋଉ ଭାଇଲେନ୍ସ କୁ ରୋକିବା ପାଇଁ remember partition was not just in case of Punjab border it was also going on in case of West Bengal and Bangladesh which was at that time East Pakistan so Gandhiji was there and he was trying to restore peace so his action we can also say ki, this was also an example of compassion right where action is linked to sorry sympathy and empathy is linked with action right? Any doubts in this
Hello, sir.
huh
Sir, anyone is progressing in a terrible stage, so we should support with him. We always stand with him. It is known as a samabhava বা ସମଦୁଃଖୀ ତ ଏଇଟା ହେଇପାରିବ ନା ସମଦୁଃଖୀ ମାନେ ଜଣଙ୍କ ଦୁଃଖରେ ଆମେ ସମଦୁଃଖୀ ହଉ
हाँ हाँ ହେଇପାରିବ definitely that will come under empathy कि ତମେ surface level ରେ ଦୁଃଖ feel କରୁନ ସିଏ ଯେତିକି ଦୁଃଖୀ feel ଅଛି feel କରୁଛି ତମେ ବି ସେତିକି ଦୁଃଖୀ feel କରୁଛ so that will come under empathy right that's certainly right
ହଁ ସାର୍ ସେ ଯୋଉ ଗୋଟେ ଭଲ ଏକ୍ସାମ୍ପଲ ଗୋଟେ ଦେଲେ ଯୋଉ ଯେ ଥିଲେ IAS ଅଫିସର ଥିଲେ ସିଏ ସେତେବେଳେ ତାଙ୍କ ଚେୟାରକୁ ତାଙ୍କ ଲେବୁଲଟାକୁ ସେ ଭୁଲିକି ସେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଜଣେ ହ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡିକ୍ୟାପ୍ଟ ଲୋକ ଆସିଛନ୍ତି ତାଙ୍କ ସିଚୁଏସନକୁ ଯାଇକି ଜିନିଷଟାକୁ ନିଜେ
yes
ବସିଛନ୍ତି
yes yes
ସେ ସେଥିରେ ଆଉ
definitely you
ନିଜର
can give an example
ଷ୍ଟାଣ୍ଡାର୍ଡ ବା ନିଜର ଲେବୁଲଟାକୁ ସେ ଆଉ ସେଠି ସାମ୍ନାରେ ରଖିନାହାନ୍ତି
right yes you can certainly right so yeah continue okay so come to the last part this is social skills ଆମେ डिस्कस करथिले पांचटा कंपोनेंट थिला आर्म होची इंटरनल ईएस होची इंटरपर्सनल राइट सो एम्पैथी हमें देखलु लास्ट कंपोनेंट होची सोशल स्किल माने कोन इंटरपर्सनल रिलेशंस मींस पर्सन पर्सन भितर रिलेशन so how you are able to interact with others it is also the ability to handle social situations or difficult situations मते एग्जांपल दोथि सपोज हम गोटे सोशल गैदरिंग रे अछु के जणे आसी सेठी तुमको इंसल्ट कला so instead of reacting immediately you should understand that this is a social gathering here I cannot immediately react so maybe you will control your emotions and later on you can talk to the person ki, why did you behave in such a way so handling social situations or difficult situations right it is also the ability to manage others emotions देखो हमें तो निजर इमोशन को मैनेज करछे that comes under self regulation ଯେତେବେଳେ ଅନ୍ୟର ଇମୋସନ କୁ ମ୍ୟାନେଜ କରିବାକୁ ଟ୍ରାଏ କରୁଛେ that comes under social skills because self regulation is internal other emotion को ଯେତେବେଳେ ହ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡଲ କରୁଛେ ସେତେବେଳେ interpersonal ହେଇଗଲା means person person ଭିତରେ ହେଇଗଲା right and we had also given many examples कि ଅନ୍ୟର ଇମୋସନ କୁ କେମିତି ଆମେ ରେଗୁଲେଟ କରିବା for example ତାଙ୍କ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ ଭଲ କଥା ହେଇ right କିଏ ଜଣେ ବହୁତ ରାଗିକି ଆସିଛି ତାକୁ ଆମେ କେମିତି calm down କରିଦବା କିଏ ବହୁତ unnecessarily excited ହେଇଛି ବି ତାକୁ ହିଁ calm down କରିଦବା କି ବାବୁ ଏକା ମାଘ କି ଶୀତ ଯାଏ ନାହିଁ so control yourself okay so managing others emotion the way you behave with them and you manage the situation and this will also bring into this will also cover what is known as effective communication mane kon can you tell me the difference between communication and effective communication Anyone?
Sir, communication means just interact to each other.
Okay.
Every effective
Effective.
communication means to great impact to other by the communication.
Okay. Anyone else? ଆଉ କିଏ କହିବେ?
Sir, if
सर
it's not that
कम्युनिकेशन माने आमे गोटे मेसेज कन्वे करबा आ जनको बडी
Right.
जदि से मेसेज जनको ऊपर इफेक्ट पकोछि सेटा को हम इफेक्टिव कम्युनिकेशन कहै
Okay. Very good. Who is this, by the way?
सर अलीशा
Okay. Yes. Anyone else? Effective communication माने कौन?
Sir, communication, like, it's maybe passive or effective, it's like more active communication.
सर
Okay.
इफेक्टिव सर इफेक्टिव कम्युनिकेशन है जो डिजायर्ड हमारा अच्छी टारगेट होची सेटा अचीव होते इफेक्टिव कम्युनिकेशन रे हमें द राइट ऑडियंस द राइट टाइम एंड द राइट मैनर वी कन्वे द मेसेज
Okay.
ମିଳିଲେ ସେଇଟା ଇଫେକ୍ଟିଭ କମ୍ୟୁନିକେସନ ହବ ଆଉ ନ ମିଳିଲେ ଖାଲି କମ୍ୟୁନିକେସନ।
Yes. ଆଉ ଥରେ କୁହ କଣ କହିଲ?
ସାର୍ ଯଦି ଫିଡବ୍ୟାକ୍ ଟା ମିଳିଲା କି ହଁ ମୁଁ ମେସେଜ ଟା
Very
ବୁଝିପାରିଲି
good. So in short, remember, communication में यदि हमें ये सब characteristic add कर दूँ, then that will become effective communication. Means communication में यदि right message थो, by the right messenger, and it will give you, this is very very important, this is the central part, it will give you some feedback to the person or originator of the message, plus it is meeting your objective or purpose, then it will turn into effective communication. Okay. ठीक लोको ठीक मैसेज दबो एंड से मैसेज टा पहुंचला कि नहीं तार भी हमें फीडबैक पाए कि मैसेज वाज एक्चुअली रिसीव्ड बाय द पर्सन एंड आफ्टर दैट आल्सो वी आर एबल टू सी कि हमरो जहा पर्पस थिला से मैसेज द्वारा सेटा हमको मिल गला, then that is known as effective communication. All of these components are there. Okay. For example, यार माने कोन देखो each and every point रो meaning अछि, message should be right. Okay. So suppose the message is कि मु जेमती गोटे कथा मु कहितली कि fail early, fail often, fail fair, right? Now I had explained to you कि यार माने कोन, एबे यदि suppose one person is not able to correctly understand this and से ताको translate डेटा कले कि fail, please fail in exam. So Sourav sir has said कि fail in exam. So now the message is wrong. So the message should be right first of all. Second should be the messenger should also be the right person. Now suppose a person maybe who is successful, you will listen more to that person. Okay. The same message जेतबे गोटा failed ହେଇଥିବା person कहयो, immediately you will not receive that message. The same कथा. Okay. Same motivational story, you are getting inspired from successful people. बट तुम घर पाखे सपोज किसी लोग फेल होती लाइफ रे जब तुमको से सेम कथा कहे तुम ताको रिजेक्ट कर दो. So even messenger also is important. किए message टा दउछि. Third point is feedback. You should get the appropriate feedback. So this is the originator, this is the receiver, right? Or also known as source, message source. So when you are sending the message, you should also get the feedback. Sometimes I also ask you in the class, after the class, ki how did you feel? How was the class, right? So give me some feedback. Accordingly, I would be able to maybe change my a little bit कि ମୁଁ कौन पढ़ोछि केमिति पढ़ोछि. because तो feedback नथिबो तो से लोक को जଣା पड़ियन कि message टा ठीक से reach ହେଲା कि, right? This is the main central part of effective communication, the most important part. Feedback should be there. And finally ये सब जिनस हेले हमर purpose भी solve ହେଇଯିବ. हमको जहाँ message ଯିବା କଥା से message टा ठीक जगह रे पहुंचिबो ठीक काम रे लागिବ, right? So all of this come under social skill. How social skill द्वारा हमर communication टा effective हो जाए. For example, social skill द्वारा देखो emotional intelligence टा केमिति हमको effective communication में help करे. Suppose you are trying to motivate others, right? You should also understand कि motivation करियार गोटे time और place भी अछि, right? तुम कौन कहयो कि जने तुम संग कह कि यार मु तो बहुत डिप्रेस्ड फील करछि, तुम राति 12 जाई तंग घर ही पहुंचियो, तुम कह कि चला हमें गोटे सेशन न मु तुमको एबे मोटिवेट करी. The person will get irritated कि यार ठीक अछि मोटिवेट करियो काली सकाळे मोटिवेट करे एबे इमीडिएटली मोटिवेशन तुम कहि नथली मत दरकार. तुम कह नहीं मु तो मोटिवेट करे को आछि 12 ରୁ 12:30 ମୁଁ तुमको मोटिवेट करी. So this is one example, very crude example, but I'm giving an example कि we should also understand what is the context here. If you have good social skill, then your communication will also be effective. So now you will say कि ठीक अछि भाई, if you are upset right now, so it is माने already बहुत late हेलानी, you take rest, tomorrow we'll talk. So tomorrow we'll think and we'll go through your problem and we'll try to solve your problem. So this is an example of effective communication. Now, after talking to that person, maybe the next day, at the end of your talk, you will also say, ki, Acha bhai, was I able to solve your problem? You give me some feedback. If I was not able to solve, then maybe I will also introspect ki mate kaun kahayar thila, how I could have done it better. So all of these are social skills also, na? How we are able to manage. In general, I'm not saying always, in general, gender stereotype, you might have noticed that usually mothers are better able to manage effective communication better than fathers, right? Specifically, maybe in Indian context also. Effective communication, mothers are better kahinki hue? Because they are able to understand the other person's emotions, right? They are better able to assess, try to understand. यार बहुत evolutionary perspective, evolutionary explanation with why women in general are better able to perceive others' emotions, and men are not in general to that extent. I'm again saying in general doesn't mean कि ହେଇପାରେ କିଛି women ମାନେ better perceive କରି ପାରନ୍ତିନି, ହେଇପାରେ କିଛି men ମାନେ they are able to better perceive than women, but I'm saying in general. So तारो evolutionary perspective भी ଅଛି. But if you would have noticed how your mother deals with other people, you would have noticed कि they are able to understand कि other intention कौन है, motivation कौन है, emotion कौन है. Accordingly, they are able to regulate the other person's behavior. Okay. For example, if a person is behaving rudely, father will also get angry immediately. Mother will try to politely avoid. कि हो ठीक है बाबू तुम कथा हम सुनिया immediately no we are busy, so maybe you come later. So mother understands कि हमें ता संगे लगी हम तो कुछ पॉइंट नहीं. So is this not an example of social skills and difference in social skills in general? So all of these are components of emotional intelligence. Now come to this part, कि emotional quotient कौन? Try to understand कि quotient रो माने कौन? Just a very small point, but quotient in general means a sort of a ratio, which is a single figure. Specifically, if we are talking about intelligence quotient, IQ, intelligence quotient कौन? ना गोटे लोकर mental age divided by the chronological age and usually multiplied by 100. तो यार माने कौन ना गोटे लोकर chronological age माने आमे usually age पहले जहाँ बुझू कि कार 15 वर्ष 25 वर्ष 30 वर्ष, तो सपोज 1% तार एज होची 25 वर्ष, बट ताको गोटे इंटेलिजेंस टेस्ट सॉल्व करिया को दिया हबो, सपोज सेतरे तार बाहरला तार मेंटल एज होची 30, means mentally this person is 5 years ahead of his or her peers. If you multiply this, the quotient, that percentage you will get is 120 you are getting. So that means ame on this scale le देखिया, where middle टा होची exactly mean टा होची 100, this person is somewhere here 120 IQ. So that means this person is above average, right? This is the meaning of mental age and chronological age. So IQ equals to 120 माने this is a quotient, what a single number, what a ratio, right? जोटा को indicate करछि कि से लोकर intelligence level केते. Similarly जेमति IQ टा हमरो, so IQ टा usually को जिंस पय यूज होछि, आमे कथा हेतु cognitive intelligence पे. There are different types of intelligence, right? सेमिति इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस को मेजर करियार रेशियो टा को कुआ होछि EQ, इमोशनल क्वेश्चन. एठी एमति मेंटल एज क्रोनोलॉजिकल एज बाछि. सिमिलरली वी आमे ओडे टेस्ट दो लोक मानकु, सेतरे से माने जते परफॉर्म कले तार परफॉर्मेंस हिसाब रे आमे कैलकुलेट करू कि से लोकडा ई स्केल रे केते भीतर रहयो. Suppose you are scoring somewhere around 100, that means tomorrow emotional intelligence is average. You are scoring somewhere around 120, that means tomorrow emotional intelligence is very good. 80 or 90 score करछो, that means your emotional intelligence is low. बर्तमान तुम भाबुथो कि ए सब आमे केमिते टेस्ट ता केमिते हेइतो, राइट? If you know, after this class also you can take a test online, एमते बहुत सारा टेस्ट मिलियो, although standardized test सेउडा usually न थाए. ओके, standardized test माने जो टेस्ट को बहुत ही rigorous testing पर कुआइछि. ओके, ए टेस्ट गुडा usually professional setting रे यूज हुए. बट इन जनरल टू अंडरस्टैंड कि टेस्ट गुडा केमिति निया हुए, तुमे क्लास पर भी गोटे ऑनलाइन गूगल करी देखियो कि EQ टेस्ट, यू कैन इवन टेक योर टेस्ट निजर देखि परियो. ऑल्दो सेतरे तारा स्कोर को बहुत बेसी इंपोर्टेंस दबनी, बिकॉज़ अगेन एज आई सेड इट इज नॉट ए स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड टेस्ट. तो एथरे कोन एथरे किछि क्वेश्चन थिबो जोते स्टेटमेंट दिया हितो, तुम कहै दियो कि हाउ यू आर गोइंग टू रिएक्ट. फॉर एग्जांपल सेतरे लिखा हितो कि सपोज one person is very upset, so what you are going to do, तुम पाखरे एमति ऑप्शन दिया छि. You will avoid the person. ये सेकंड ऑप्शन होछि you will try to understand कि से पर्सन इशू कोन है. थर्ड होछि कि maybe you will tell the person to go away, है ना? From this option they will माने तुमको मार्क कराबो सपोज तुम सही ऑप्शन टा चूज कर कि नो आई विल ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम दैट मींस दिस इज द करेक्ट आंसर सपोज यार मार्किंग थियो 10 ओके अन्य को ऑप्शन गोटा चूज कर लेस मार्क मिलियो ए वाला फाइनली तुम गोटा कैलकुलेट करके यू विल बी दे विल बी एबल टू प्लॉट यू कि तुम को लेवल ले अच्छे राइट सो दिस इज द मीनिंग ऑफ इमोशनल क्वेश्चन केमते बाहर करावे स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड टेस्ट ऑफ इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस रे लोकन को हमें रैंक करू कि से माने ताको हमें गोटे फिगर दो कि लोक माने केते तांकर इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस अच्छे तांको होते सो इंटेलिजेंस क्वेश्चन we are talking
Sir,
about
can it
cognitive
be
intelligence
improved?
yes it can be improved certainly emotional quotient can be improved we'll discuss that also now cognitive intelligence quotient in the IQ it is a single number that objectively measures the level of cognitive abilities or traditional intelligence which is also means cognitive intelligence similarly EQ is an objective measure of the level of emotional intelligence in a person ଯେମିତି IQ ଟା cognitive intelligence କୁ measure କରୁଛି ସେମିତି EQ ଟା emotional intelligence କୁ level କରୁଛି so that means ki EQ assesses the degree to which a person can accurately perceive and effectively regulate the emotions of self and others ता माने EI रो definition जहा सेटा को ही इटा again लिखि दिया है तो से EI रो ability टाको आमे objectively measure करिया तो कहा थ्रू रे करू EQ थ्रू रे करू emotional quotient बस सेती कथा को आउछ राइट so there is emotional intelligence when you are able to measure that is known as emotional quotient ଯେମିତି ଆମର normal cognitive intelligence को measure करा होतला through IQ ସେମିତି emotional intelligence को measure करा होची through EQ एती कथा को आउछ now Goldman has said a very important thing Goldman has said कि success in life is due 20% to IQ and 80% to EQ very important quotation से कहले कि तुम लाइफ रे केते सक्सेसफुल होबो IQ टा बेसी मैटर करनी बेसी मैटर कर EQ see we are not saying कि IQ is irrelevant IQ is relevant but more relevant is EQ and Goldman ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ କଥା ବି କହିଥିଲେ Goldman କହିଥିଲେ କି for example think of job now IQ will give the job okay you will get into the job due to your IQ ମାନେ ତୁମେ exam पर exam clear कर ଚାଲ then you got the job but being successful in the job right being successful in the job or prospering in the job that will depend on EQ ତୁମେ ଚାକିରିରେ ତ ପସିତ କଲ ବଟ୍ ଚାକିରିରେ ସକ୍ସିଡ୍ କରିବା ପାଇଁ that you need EQ that means what ଏଥିରେ ତୁମର usually cognitive intelligence ଦେଖାଯାଏ ଏଥିରେ ତୁମକୁ people କୁ deal କରିବା ତୁମକୁ you need to deal with people right so these are some quotations that you can write to improve your answer now any other doubts related to this theory part otherwise next we'll move on to administration in the use
sir
yes
generally civil servant ମାନଙ୍କୁ ନିଜ ହୋମ୍ ଷ୍ଟେଟରେ ପୋଷ୍ଟିଂ ଦିଆଯାଏ ତ ତା କାରଣ ହଉଛି ସୋସିଆଲ ସ୍କିଲ୍ ସେମାନଙ୍କୁ ଭଲ ଭାବରେ ମାନେ ଜଣା ଥାଏ ସେଟା ଗୋଟେ ରିଜନ ହେଇପାରେ
home
କି
usually the home state रे दिया जाए नहीं ना usually we don't prefer actually to give them in a home state if you in fact if you see insider outsider ratio of IAS or IPS officers usually insider ratio 1/3 था outsider ratio 2/3 था माने सेही सेम सपोज 10टा पोस्ट अछि चलो एते तो वैकेंसी सपोज एग्जांपल लेले हम 10टा सेटो हार्डली 3टा पोस्ट थियो से सेम स्टेट रो आउ 7टा पोस्ट रखाई थियो अदर स्टेट रो तो यूजुअली होम स्टेट को प्रेफर करा जाय नहीं तारो अन्य रीजन अछि तार रीजन होची इम्पार्शियलिटी we expect कि people should be impartial another reason कि हमें all india service जेतु तनु सेमानु बाहर पठौ similarly within your if you get into state civil service also there you will see कि usually तुमको home district usually दिया जीवो नहीं although सेमते hard and fast rule किछि नहीं again due to impartiality तुमको अन्य district रे usually posting मिली तारो reason होगा तेरे emotional intelligence रो point now come to this part use of EI in administration or application of emotional intelligence in governance एठी हमें administration और governance को interchangeably use करू so there is no issue in that सेतरे हमको बहुत technical detail और difference जीवारो कुछ point है so here we are using administration as well as governance कि केमते हमें EI को use करके improve करिया okay. otherwise if you understand governance is a bigger thing administration is part of governance so administration is the civil service part governance is the political part भी आसी फॉर एग्जांपल पंचायत राज इंस्टीट्यूट, जिला परिषद, पंचायत समिति, सब जिनस आसियो, इवन सिविल सोसाइटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन यांको भी गवर्न करियार हो, डिफरेंट रेगुलेटरी बॉडीज, whereas administration is a more specific part. Okay, so for example district administration, state administration, एथरे से has be usually civil servants बने आसे, but here we are using it interchangeably. केमिति हमें EI को use करके administration and governance को improve करें. Now how you can begin this kind of answer? ये वाला question यदि आसियो, you can say कि first कि administration ता कहाँ ऊपर depend करे, हमें human resource management ऊपर depend करे, right? Because administration after all is what? How you are going to use your human resources, how you are going to use your officers, and how you are using them towards what? Benefit of the people. And governance similarly depends on what? On citizen centricity. In fact, it is said that what is good governance? Remember, citizen centric governance is good governance. Citizen centric. When it is citizen centric, then we call it good governance. When it is politician centric or when it is officer centric, then it is a bad governance. सपोज गोटे स्टेट रे कोन ऑफिसर मानकर मनमुखी काम चलछि, पॉलिटिशियन मानकर मनमुखी काम चलछि, देन दैट इज बैड गवर्नेंस. जो तरह लोक मानु सिटीजन को सेंटर रखी सब डिसीजन निया, देन दैट इज गुड गवर्नेंस. सो फ्रॉम बोथ ऑफ दिस डेफिनेशन यू विल बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड कि दुइटा जाकर हमें ह्यूमंस माने आछन, राइट? ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेस एंड सिटीजन्स आर आल्सो ह्यूमंस. सो दैट मीन्स जत ह्यूमन माने कथा आसेला सेते बेले हमर इमोशन रो स्किल आ नॉलेज विल कम इन हैंडी. सो इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस माने कोन, हमें निजको एज वेल एज अदर्स को बेटर डील करिए. So again, you are dealing with people. So therefore, emotional intelligence has a direct application on administration and governance, right? So in this way, you can start your introduction part. Start करके, or also you can also write कि केमिति citizen centric, अरे यार, or what is the meaning of good governance? You can also write good governance means citizen centric governance, right? And that means कि हमको people oriented हबक पड़ियो. No, why I am making mistakes? Citizen centricity, right? So that means there is a need to deal with people, and when there is people, there will come the role of EI. लोक मान को सारे डीलिंग जतले आसीबो तले EI रो रोल आसीबो. अबे हमें कहया कि हमर एडवांटेजेस कोन और को जिंस रे हम इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस को यूज कर करिया एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन. First and foremost, you will say कि this will help in transformational leadership. Now, what is the meaning of this thing? I think ମୁଁ ଆଗରୁ ଥରେ transformational leadership एमती term टा यूज भी करथिली, but try to, in any case, let us try to understand. In general, work psychology or organizational behavior, if any of you had read any such books or concepts, you would see that there is a difference between one is known as a manager and one is known as a leader. Can anyone tell me what is the difference between a manager and a leader? Anyone? भाभी को किसी एमती कौन तुमको लाଗୁଛି? अच्छा, just tell me कि दुईटा भितर कोटा बेटर बोली तुम भाबुଛ?
सर लीडर.
Manager or very good. What's the difference, do you think?
सर मैनेजर खाली ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल गोल और टारगेट अचीव करिवे, किंतु लीडर होची जो कोड ऑफ एथिक्स टा अचीव करिवे.
Code of ethics. No, code of ethics এই পারে ম্যানেজার भी code of ethics को फॉलो करछि. code of ethics को फॉलो करथवा वाला मैनेजर भी बहुत अछंती ना. code of ethics सेतरे आसीबनी. Any
Sir,
other
I
differences?
think both are equal.
Sir, leader ର ଗୋଟେ quotation ଅଛି କି he knows the way, shows the way and goes the way.
Very good. What does that mean? And manager does what?
सर मैनेजर, अच्छा मैनेजर और लीडर जदि आमे कंपैरिजन करबा तो लीडर मैनेजर गोटे माइक्रो व्यू गोटे आसीबो कि ताको गोटे पर्टिकुलर टास्क दिया छै, ताको केमति से एफिशिएंटली से अचीव करबो बाय utilizing the resources at hand.
Okay, very good. That can also happen. Remember, first and foremost, the difference is manager is someone who does this kind of activities: hiring, firing, organizational goal पहुंचियारे, okay, target meet करियारे, इस सब काम रे सेतरे लागि पड़. Who is the leader? Leader होची who understands and who achieves the goals of people or the community. Okay, leader रो ଗୋଟେ simple definition होची ଗୋଟେ group को towards its goal को जिए नहीं. Okay, this is a generic definition of a leader. But a group के हितियो, for example, people or community. Okay. and this community, for example, it can also be the entire country, right? And the difference, if you can see, कि this is a यार scale which is smaller, यार scale might be bigger, and यार purpose भी maybe ही पर commercial purpose भी ही पर, but here the purpose is not commercial. Here there is vision. This is the difference. This person is chasing targets. This person is chasing visions. I mean, remember, we can even criticize this ki Jeff Bezos, right? He is a manager, but you will say कि Steve Jobs, he was a leader. What is the difference? देखो दो ही जन देखो, even they are doing, even Steve Jobs was doing commerce, but Steve Jobs' final purpose was not to make money. Final purpose is not money. Final purpose is to create devices which is going to improve your life, improve people's life, right? To create something innovation. ये सब जिनसे मैं ताको example दूँ. Okay. So this person was not money minded. This person was more inclined towards leading people towards some goals. For example, to get them to create devices which will improve people's life. Simple and efficient and elegant device हमें use करें, which will make our lives easier. This is one example. Right? Similarly, you can give n number of things हमें discuss करें. For example, we'll say कि देखो मैनेजर माने extrinsic motivation ने चलते हैं, leaders माने intrinsic motivation ने चलते हैं. For example, there are many social activists, right? For example, think of an activist like Kailash Satyarthi. Now he is a leader, but suppose कि आप जने would a NGO manager, that person we can call manager because maybe some kind of due to some kind of extrinsic motivation he or she is doing this. But Kailash Satyarthi is not doing it for extrinsic motivation; he is doing it for intrinsic motivation, right? So this is the basic definition between manager and leader. Now tell me, is there a difference between leader and a transformational leader? Now the second phase comes. Leader versus transformational leader. What is the difference between these two? Can you think? Anyone?
Sir, transformation leadership ଯେତେବେଳେ ଗୋଟେ କ୍ରାଇସିସ୍ ଆସେ ସେଇ ଟାଇମରେ କେମିତି ସେ ହ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡେଲ କରନ୍ତି
Very good.
ସିଚୁଏସନ.
So what a crisis ru semane what a group or organization or community or even country ताको semane what a crisis रे manage करके नेबे to a better position, right? And in this way, through this journey also, this whatever they are taking to this side, it will also change. They will change this group or organization or community. This is the meaning of transformational leadership. For example, you can say ki maybe Devegowda. We can argue that Devegowda was a leader, but Lal Bahadur Shastri, he was a transformational leader because this person he took the country in a transition period and a crisis चलतिला. ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମର 1964 ଗୋଟେ war ଚାଲିଥିଲା, ଯେତେବେଳେ country food insecurity ଚାଲିଥିଲା. So in that way, you can call him as a transformational leader. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, you can call him as a transformational leader, right? Similarly, think of political leader भी छाड़ दियो. Dhoni we can call as transformational leader because if you remember initially as 2007, I think 2007 से मैंने T20 World Cup ना first World Cup जीते थे. At that time ସେତେବେଳେ ସମସ୍ତେ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆରେ young players ମାନେ ଆସିଥିଲେ, ଗୋଟେ transformation phase ରେ ଥିଲା ଇଣ୍ଡିଆ. Indian cricket team रे केही भी established player नथिले, but he took that team, that inexperienced team, and he made it successful. So that is an example of transformational leadership. Vikram Sarabhai, हमें ये सब लीडर को एग्जांपल दो ट्रांसफॉर्मेशनल लीडरशिप. he was the person जे इसरो स्टार्ट करथिले तले इंडिया को केही भी बाहर कंट्री माने हेल्प करे को चाहू नथले, क्रायोजेनिक टेक्नोलॉजी दवा को चाहू नथले. विक्रम साराभाई एस्टैब्लिश्ड इसरो. he was a transformational leader. Abdul Kalam, he was a transformational leader. देखो इनफैक्ट लीडरशिप गोटे क्वेश्चन आसी पारे, डायरेक्टली लीडरशिप ऊपर आसी पारे, तो ये चैप्टर ही यू विल टेक अप कंटेंट. ओके, ए पेज पार्ट भी मैं दे देगी नोट रे, so that you will be able to write a few parts. This is the meaning of use of emotional intelligence in administration. कि how we are going to use. अच्छा, this part I did not explain. Now can you tell me कि how, for example, these leaders, how they are using emotional intelligence? Can you give an example? I think I have given a few examples. If you are able to remember, tell me some incident through which we can say कि semane how they were able to use emotional intelligence to transform their organization or the country or the community, whatever it is.
ସାର୍ ଲାଲ ବାହାଦୁର ଶାସ୍ତ୍ରୀ ଯେମିତି ସେ ଯୋଉ ଫୁଡ ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ ହେଇଥିଲା ତାଙ୍କ ଘର ଲୋକଙ୍କୁ ଫାର୍ଷ୍ଟ ଆଡଭାଇସ ଦେଇଥିଲେ ତାପରେ ସିଟିଜେନ ମାନଙ୍କୁ କହିଥିଲେ।
Very good, excellent. So लाल बहादुर शास्त्री ଯେତେବେଳେ ସେ realize କଲେ କି ଇଣ୍ଡିଆର ଫୁଡ ଇନସିକ୍ୟୁରିଟି ଅଛି and ଆମକୁ ଫୁଡ ସର୍ଟେଜ କୁ address କରିବା ପାଇଁ ତାଙ୍କ ମନକୁ ଆଇଡିଆ ଆସିଲା କି ମୁଁ ପୁରା କଣ୍ଟ୍ରିର ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କୁ କହିବି କି ୱିକଲି ଗୋଟେ ଦିନ ଆମେ ଫାଷ୍ଟିଂ କରିବା so that କିଛି ଫୁଡ ବଞ୍ଚିଯିବ। ବଟ୍ ସେ ଲୋକଙ୍କୁ କହିବା ଆଗରୁ ତାଙ୍କ ନିଜ ଫ୍ୟାମିଲି ମେମ୍ବର ଆଉ ନିଜେ ସେମାନେ ସେ ଏକ୍ସପେରିମେଣ୍ଟଟା କଲେ whether they are able to survive with this experiment or not. When he saw କି ନାଇଁ ଚलो ଏଟା ମୁଁ କରିପାରୁଛି then he said he requested to the entire country କି ଅନ୍ୟମାନେ ବି ସେମିତିଆ କରନ୍ତୁ। So this is an example of the person being able to understand ki if we are not able to do this then how can I ask others to do that, right? Similarly think of Atal Bihari Vajpayee. पोखरान टेस्ट पर ଯେତେବେଳେ ୟୁଏସ୍ ର ପ୍ରେସିଡେଣ୍ଟ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଥ୍ରେଟନିଂ ଦେଲେ କି ପାକିସ୍ତାନ କୁ ଆମେ ସପୋର୍ଟ କରିବୁ ତୁମ कंट्री को ଆମେ ପାକିସ୍ତାନ ଇଜ ଗୋଇଂ ଟୁ ଆଟାକ୍ यू। सो वाजपेयी सिंपली सेड कि जदि पाकिस्तान केबे डेयर कले इंडिया को अटैक करियाकू नेक्स्ट दिन पाकिस्तान को आमे वर्ल्ड मैप रु हटाई दे एंड देन ही हंग अप द फोन। ये तुमको थ्रेटनिंग दोजी बट द कंट्री ऑफ प्राइम मिनिस्टर if the prime minister is unable to understand ki what is the emotion of the other person the country is doomed, right? So Vajpayee had that wisdom कि ये जो अमेरिकन प्रेसिडेंट बाबू मते फोन करचंदी ये मते थ्रेटनिंग दो फोन करचंदी जदि मु एठी डरी जीवी तले कंट्री रो बहुत नुकसान होबो we have to continue our experiment and ମୁଁ ତାଙ୍କ ଧମକରେ ଡରିବି ନାହିଁ। So he countered that threat indirectly by threatening Pakistan। पाकिस्तान हमको कौन उड़ाइବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁଛି ଆମେ ପାକିସ୍ତାନକୁ वर्ल्ड मैप ରୁ उड़ेଇବୁ। Is this not an example of emotional intelligence also? बेले बेले से इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस मान नहीं कि हम सबले सॉफ्ट हवा इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस माने कि हमें सबले एप्रोप्रिएटली यूज करिया इमोशन, राइट? एथुरु मते ये डिस्टिंक्शन भी मने पड़ला कि सम पीपल थिंक इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस आने में सबले सॉफ्टली बिहेव करे नहीं जेतले दरकार हमको हार्ड वर्क पड़ियो वी हैव टू बी हार्ड। फॉर एग्जांपल व्हेन वी हैव टू बी वेरी स्ट्रिक्ट विथ पीपल वी हैव टू बी स्ट्रिक्ट। हमें डिस्कस करू ना डिलेड ग्रेटिफिकेशन कथा। इफ यू आर अ पेरेंट एंड सपोज तुम चाइल्ड कोन कोच कांदुच कि नहीं ताको इमीडिएटली दरकार किछ गोटे स्वीट दरकार किछ गोटे जिंस डिमांड करछ और टॉय दरकार तुम यदि इमीडिएटली सबले तार नीड को मीट करछ तुम गोटे स्पॉइल्ड ब्रैट मन को तैयारी करियो, राइट? जे कि सब बेले डिमांड करियो से तार निजर इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस भी डेवलप हो। इन दैट केस यू हैव टू बी स्ट्रिक्ट। So again, it is also a sign of emotional intelligence कि तुम्हें delayed gratification develop कर चुके हैं भीतर। So emotional intelligence does not mean कि we should always be soft. Emotional intelligence means जितने जो way रे emotion को हमें use करिया कथा we will use it appropriately। Similarly, think of a person like Vikram Sarabhai। जितने ସେମାନେ ସାରାଭାଇ initially ISRO foundation କରିବାକୁ ଗଲେ political leader ମାନେ ବହୁତ ବେଶୀ ତାଙ୍କୁ help କରିବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁନଥିଲେ। Political leadership was more involved और ତାଙ୍କର ସେବେ ବି ଯାଏ brain wash ହେଇଥିଲା कि इंडिया मेन इश्यू हूँ पॉवर्टी अंडर डेवलपमेंट तो यू जिन बेसी इन्वेस्ट करिया साइंस एंड टेक सब पर आसी बट विक्रम साराभाई हैड दैट विजन। अगेन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस टर्म विजन अगेन एंड अगेन व्हाई दिस इज ए हॉलमार्क ऑफ ट्रांसफॉर्मेशनल लीडर्स दे आर लॉन्ग टर्म विजन था। तो सी रियलाइज कले कि फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी का बहुत लॉन्ग टर्म बेसिस रे इन्वेस्ट कले ही तार आउटकम मिलियो। तेणु सपोज आम भावे कि आम 2000 मसीहा सुधा आम कंट्री को डेवलप करिया दैट मीन्स 1947 रु हमको इन्वेस्ट करिया पड़ियो ताले कि 2020 वेल को हमें डेवलप हो। सो व्हाई नॉट वी स्टार्ट फ्रॉम नाउ ऑन। एंड सेकंड ही आल्सो रियलाइज्ड कि साइंस एंड टेक में इन्वेस्ट करूचे माने नुहे कि हम पोवर्टी रे इन्वेस्ट करूना यार आउटकम भी पोवर्टी ऊपर पड़ियो, राइट? मे बी एथिरे हमें किसी एमिते जिंस डेवलप करिया इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हो किसी टेक्नोलॉजी डेवलप करिया व्हिच विल आल्सो हेल्प द पोर। एंड ही वाज द पर्सन हु एक्चुअली कन्विंस्ड द पॉलिटिकल लीडर्स ऑफ द टाइम कि नहीं हमको तो इसरो गोटे स्टार्ट करिया पड़ियो एंड हैव टू इन्वेस्ट इन स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी आल्सो। And to give you an example, Kimiti, how even space technology, you see how it has led to development or welfare of people. In fact, if you see coronary stents, stent वाले बड़े जिनसे use हुए, it was a medical device. This is a medical device. This actually came from space research. Indirect वाले जिनसे develop हुआ coronary stent, which was later on used in treatment of patients. So he had that visionary leadership to understand कि हमको इन्वेस्ट करिया पड़ो। सो से कन्विंस कले पॉलिटिकल लीडर को कि यू अलाउ अस टू गिव अस अ बजट टू डेवलप दिस, राइट? सो दीज आर द एग्जांपल्स ऑफ हाउ वी आर यूजिंग इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस इन ट्रांसफॉर्मेशनल लीडरशिप। चलो गोटे पॉइंट एते सारा कथा कहि देली। नाउ दिस इज आल्सो यूज्ड टू ब्रिंग आउट द बेस्ट आउट ऑफ योर एम्प्लॉइज। सो दिस मीन्स समथिंग also related to motivation of employees, right? आम एम्प्लॉई मान मोटिवेशन केमती करिया कि ना बुझेगी कि हाउ दिस इज important for the organization, for the community. You are able to motivate people. If you understand entire civil service or public administration, this is based on nothing other than motivation. तुम्हें एम्प्लॉय मान मोटिवेट करी थकी जीव, बिकॉज व्हेन यू आर इन द सर्विस यू विल रियलाइज कि सब n नंबर ऑफ टार्गेट सब चलती। सो हाउ यू आर गोइंग टू मीट द टार्गेट्स, तुम एम्प्लॉय माने स्टार्टिंग रू डिमोटिवेटेड थी, सो यू हैव टू एनी हाउ मोटिवेट देम कि चलो टार्गेट मीट करिया। हाउ यू आर गोइंग टू प्रोवाइड हाउस टू द पीपल, जार पैसा पकेयार अच्छे पैसा पकेया, कोटी स्वच्छ भारत मिशन चलती से अभियान करिया। So you need to bring the best out of your employees and our productivity टाकू increase भी इनके करियो। So when you bring the best out of your employees, when you are able to motivate others, now तुम directly तुम organization productivity भी increase कर परियो, because everyone will contribute to it. You will also be able to enroll others into your own vision. Again vision इथे असला ना visionary leadership कि why we should do this long term, यार impact कौन होगा, so we should do why you are going to do this kind of work. Take for example one case, चलो एटा पछरे आसीओ से case ता will just remind me, miracle man of Manipur. Will see how some civil servants are able to enroll others into their own vision. Now the next point is again effective communication भी होगा। effective communication कहले कौन होगा, employees मानकर role clarity आसीओ, very important. Again it is used in work psychology, or it is used in organizational behavior. Role clarity, suppose you are the leader of any organization or any office, then you have to provide a role to other people, right? You are the leader, you will provide role मान तुम कहो कि बाबू तुम्हें आज ये काम करो, तुम्हें से काम करो, right? So different person 1 को गोटे काम देला, person n को गोटे काम देला, person 2 को something else, right? Now each of these persons should clearly understand कि what they are supposed to do. And it बहुत obvious कथा लागू थाई पारे, but actually when you start working you will be able to understand हुए कौन एतरे यूजुअली तुम्हें कौन करे। सपोज इनिशियली तुम्हें यू डोंट अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ रोल क्लैरिटी, तुम पाखो गोटे फाइल आसे, राइट? सपोज फाइलटा होची लैंड एक्विजिशन, माने गवर्नमेंट को हमको सॉफ्टवेयर वर्किंग एज तहसीलदार, सो कोआ गला कि एई जगह रे गोटे प्रोजेक्ट हबो, ता पई हमें लोकन को लैंड किनकी गवर्नमेंट को हेडा हैंड ओवर करिया, हस्तांतर करा दियो। सो तुम कौन करिवो, तुमरो जे म्यूटेशन करतो तुम ताको डाकी के कहयो कि अच्छा तुम गोटे काम करो, एई लैंड टा गवर्नमेंट ना को दे दियो। हां तो पर्सन विल से ओके सर, आ पर्सन से लोक तुमको किछ कहबे, तुम आसे पर ताको डाकियो, तुम कहयो कि कोन मिश्र बाबू काम कले, तो सर मु केमती लैंड टा गवर्नमेंट को दे देबी, ए लैंड टा पर ए लोक नारे अछि, ए गोटे लोक अछि, तो ताको हमें डाकी कि से कहले से हैंड ओवर कले, तो ताको पैसा देले तो से हमको दबो। तो तुम कह अरे बाबू तुम मते तले मासे धरी कथा कहू नथलो, ए लोक काहे कि तुम ए कथा कहि नथियो, आर यू एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड, बिकॉज़ ए मासेटे जो गडिला से मासेटे से फ्री टाइम पाइला। प्रैक्टिकली ए सब इश्यू हुए। तुम एमती किसी गोटे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन किसी गोटे मीटिंग ऑर्गेनाइज करछो, किसी लोकन को काम देला, जण को कहले कि बाबू तुम गोटे काम करो, गाड़ी नहीं कि जाओ एई जगह सपोज एतिकी किसी फूड मटेरियल आनिबो, हमें लोकन बांटी, सीधा पैसा नहीं से लोक पळेला। तुम्हें 2 घंटा पर फोन कलो, तुम कहलो कुआडे गलो बाबू, तो कहे आज्ञा मु कोन आ जाई परली कि मु एई ऑफिस बाहर बसछि परा, तो कह बसछु काहे ना सर मु कोन करी, मो तो गाड़ी रे पेट्रोल नहीं। ए सब प्रैक्टिकल ए सब जिंस हुए। So when you are giving any responsibility, you will make it clear कि तुम केमिति जीवो कौन करिवो, दैट इज अप टू यू। तुम तुम गाड़ी रे जीवो और ऑटो करिवो, बस रे जीवो, बट योर रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी इज एतिकी टंका नियो, एतिकी फूड आनी के डिलीवर करो बाय दिस टाइम। दिस इज द मीनिंग ऑफ रोल क्लैरिटी कि यू डोंट टेल मी व्हाट इज योर प्रॉब्लम फर्दर मोर, कि दिस इज वेरी सिंपल टास्क, बिकॉज़ भाई सी किछि जेन्युइन इश्यू है हमें ताको एड्रेस कर दो, अदरवाइज यू गिव देम द रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, यू से कि दिस इज व्हाट यू आर गोइंग टू डू। नाउ सपोज you have given another person another responsibility, land acquisition होछि, ए लोक को कहा गला कि तुम लोक को जाई कि तांग बुझा कि समाने केते प्राइस रे तांको प्लॉट बिक्री करिया को चाहउछन्ती। सो ये अगेन मासटे गोटे मंथ गडे दो, से किछि काम करू नथि, तो मास पर कहयो काम हला, से कहे आगे मु जीबी केमते, मते तो किछि गाड़ी ही मिलेनी, आपण मते ऑफिशियल गाड़ी एलोकेट करना। तो फ्रॉम द बिगिनिंग यू शुड प्रोवाइड रोल क्लैरिटी टू ईच एंड एवरीवन। यू विल से कि दिस इज योर वर्क, एथिपाई तुमको कौन कौन दरकार मते आगो लिस्ट करके दे दियो, आई विल प्रोवाइड यू ऑल द फैसिलिटीज, बट यू एंश्योर दैट एट द एंड ऑफ द डे यू हैव डन दिस मच वर्क। ओके, ए सब जिंस यदि न करिवो ऑफिस रे यू विल फेस प्रॉब्लम, राइट? सो दिस इज आल्सो एन एग्जांपल ऑफ एन इफेक्टिव लीडर कि जे इफेक्टिव कम्युनिकेशन करि परथो, एम्प्लॉय मन को रोल क्लैरिटी भी जानि परथो। सिमिलरली यही पॉइंट तो ऑब्वियसली बुझी पारतो इंप्रूव वर्क कल्चर एंड वर्क एथिक्स कि केमिति आमे काम करिया केते ड्यूरेशन पे काम करिया को वे रे काम करिया all of these are also very important work culture and work ethics, right? Just to give you an example, what is the meaning of this work culture and work ethics? You consider a place like for example ISRO. तुम यदि ISRO ऑफिस को केबे जियो although मु भी जाइनी केबे but I have seen some documentaries. The offices are very egalitarian, right? In the sense कि equality बहुत जगह अछि एमितिया नहीं कि किछि इन बट जदि तार आमे कंपेयर करिवु फॉर एग्जांपल विथ एनी ब्यूरोक्रेटिक ऑफिस तुम यदि डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ऑफिस को जीवो सेठी तुम देखियो कि से ऑफिस गुडार डिजाइनिंग तुमको लागियो कि दिस इज देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ इनइक्वालिटी आमे एमती कथा होतलु कि यूजुअली सेठी गोटे कॉन्फ्रेंस हॉल टारे एमती टेबल पड़थियो तार एंड रे जणे लोक बसियो सो ही और शी इज द हेड ऑफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बट इजरो इज अ साइंटिफिक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन सो हियर दे हैव माने समान ताकर नेसेसिटी हिसाब रे बिल्डिंग एंड ऑफिसेस आर डिजाइन हिची which is promoting innovation, which is promoting collaboration and cooperation. This is an example of work culture. Okay. So culture भी एतरे reflect होची work culture केमती reflect होची देखो. Work culture is also reflecting कि केते duration पर्यंत लोक माने काम करछन. Whether you are able to motivate people or not. Suppose तुम जबरदस्ती बसे लोक काम करा करो बोलछो. तो आमे जानि कि यार work culture खराब अछि. But out of motivation if they are able to work more, then we know कि okay यार work culture ଭଲ. For example, consider again another fictional organization. Okay. For legal reasons, I cannot call out any real organization name, but there is a very famous organization. Let us call it Lie Junior. Okay. So this Lie Junior ये कौन करियो कि यार वर्क कल्चर ही एते टॉक्सिक यू वुड सी कि बहुत सारा वीडियोस एंड बहुत सारा ऑडियो क्लिप्स भी आसीथियो तांकर एम्प्लॉय मानन को आउची कि तुम पिला मान को एंड गार्डियंस मान को और पेरेंट्स मान को थ्रेटन करिकी तांको लोभ देकी किछि भी करिकी जबरदस्ती कोर्स बिक्री करो टैबलेट बिक्री करो राइट दे आर बीइंग फोर्स्ड एंड देयर इज अ वेरी टॉक्सिक वर्क कल्चर कि जदि तुम टारगेट मीट न कर पारियो एम्प्लॉय मान को इमीडिएटली बाहर कर दिया राइट यू आर नॉट अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि एम्प्लॉय मान को इशू कोन अछि तुमको जब टारगेट मीट न हला सीधा बाहर दे आर एबल टू स्पेंड अ लॉट ऑफ मनी ऑन एडवर्टाइजमेंट से गोटे ग्लोबल फुटबॉल स्टार को से पैसा पत्र दे पारछन एडवर्टाइजमेंट बट अन्य केस रे कहउछन कि एम्प्लॉय मान का सैलरी देबा को पैसा नहीं टीचर मान को सैलरी देबा को पैसा नहीं सो यू कैन से कि ऑर्गेनाइजेशन वर्क कल्चर टा बहुत खराब अछि राइट सो वर्क एथिक्स कोन इट इज आल्सो रिलेटेड टू वर्क कल्चर कि वर्क एथिक्स माने होची कि अगेन आमे वर्क जो करबा वेदर वी आर एबल टू वर्क फॉर व्हाट ड्यूरेशन वी आर एबल टू वर्क एंड सेटा खुशी रे माने लोक माने मोटिवेट हे की करछन कि डिप्रेशन हे की करछन से वर्क रो एक्चुअली लीगैलिटी कोन अछि वेदर दैट वर्क इज एक्चुअली माने कुछ पर्पसफुल वर्क अछि कि नहीं और जस्ट कमर्शियल पर्पस रे तुम करछ ओके सिमिलरली वेदर माने हार्ड वर्किंग तुमरो एनवायरनमेंट टा केमि हार्ड वर्किंग तुमरो अछंती और से माने बहुत माने चीट करूछंती ऑल ऑफ दीज आल्सो कम अंडर वर्क एथिक्स राइट whether suppose you are giving target and you are saying ki by hook or crook you are supposed to meet this target now we'll say ki tum work ethics bahut kharab right on the other hand suppose one is saying ki nahi ame ethical way re ame काम टा करिया target को meet करिया now ame कहे कि तार work ethic भलो अछि honest look man employee man को honest रहय पड़े so all of these are examples of difference between work culture difference no this is how work culture and work ethics is there in the organizational behavior. Let's take a short break, 5 minutes break. We'll meet after the break. Okay. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any issues, guys? Let me know. କିଛି ବୁଝି ପାରୁନ? Screen share ହେଇଯିବ?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Screen ଦେଖାଉଛି ତ?
No,
ଜ୍ୟୋତି,
sir.
ନମ୍ରତା ଦେଖାଉନି?
No, sir.
Share content. Okay. ଏବେ ଦେଖାଉଛି? Okay, right. ଏବେ ଦେଖାଉଥିବ, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Any doubts so far? Some of you don't interact too much, so I encourage everyone to participate. Okay? As I said from beginning, this is an equal opportunity class. Everyone who is a part of this class will get equal opportunity to interact. So specifically, ମାନେ ମୋର ଯାହା ମନେ ପଡୁଛି, ଜ୍ୟୋତି, ନମ୍ରତା, Sonali, Ananya, if you any of you have any doubts, Vishal, Smruti, okay, Manas, usually you guys don't interact too much, so if you have any doubts, please ask. ବୁଝି ପାରୁଛ or ବୁଝି ପାରୁନ?
Yes, sir. ବୁଝା ଯାଉଛି।
Okay, that's good. ठीक है, any issues you can always ask me in the class, okay? So let's move on to the next points. कि हमें एगुड़ा कौन discuss करते by the way? We were all discussing what are the uses or applications of emotional intelligence in administration or governance, right? Ko different way how we can use it. Then we will also be able to use it to manage difficult or unreasonable employees. By the way, remember, ମୁଁ ଯେତିକି ବି content ଦଉଛି ନା ମୁଁ କହିଥିଲି content dense. Our notes are very content dense. ठीक है? Suppose for example here I have given 17 list of 17 points of uses in governance or public administration. ହେଇପାରେ exam ରେ 17 points ମନେ ପଡିବନି, 7ଟା point ମନେ ପଡିଲା, 5ଟା point ମନେ ପଡିଲା. Still that is enough for you, right? So because our note is content dense ବହୁତ ଜିନିଷ ଅଛି, so don't worry କି ମତେ 17ଟା point ବି ଲେଖିବାକୁ ପଡିବ. 5-7ଟା point ବି ଲେଖି important point ଲେଖି if you are able to give a few examples, case studies, you are able to draw some diagrams, then that is enough. Okay, you don't have to explain each and every point a lot, but still you can also write a few points regarding these ना. एमती देखा जाए अंडरस्टैंडिंग बेस रे ही लिख पारियो. फॉर एग्जांपल व्हेन यू आर राइटिंग मोटिवेटिंग एम्प्लॉइज, देखिए कि मोटिवेटिंग एम्प्लॉय हमें एम्प्लॉय को मोटिवेट कहीं करिया ताकर प्रोडक्टिविटी बढ़िया, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन रो गोल मीट करिया. इफ यू आर राइटिंग अबाउट वर्क कल्चर एंड वर्क एथिक्स, यू राइट कि हमें पॉजिटिव वर्क कल्चर how code of conduct, here you can write about ethical code of conduct, right? Code of conduct of the organization हमें तैयारी करेगा. For example, you can also write about सेवोत्तम model, right? All of these are examples you can write. This is a model for good governance, right? Here you can give examples of these things also, right? So you can explain further, but first you have to write the points. 5-6 point लिख ले भी, that is also enough important points. So let's see some other points कि कौन हो करियो emotional intelligence की use केमती करियो to manage difficult or unreasonable employees. तुम जो भी ऑफिस रे थियो किछि लोक किछि एम्प्लॉय तुमरो भलो थिबे, किछि एम्प्लॉय डिफिकल्ट थिबे. मे बी काहार मूड हेले से ऑफिस को आसुची, काहार मूड हेले आसुनी. How you are going to manage that, right? So that is also a skill कि people dealing skill. For example, you will be able to understand कि किछि एम्प्लॉय मानन कोन carrot and stick approach अछि. Some people need positive favors और तांको किछि तांको तामाने हमें किछि incentive दबार अछि, positive incentive, and you will also provide some other with negative things or punishment on दबार अछि. So carrot and stick method है how you are going to motivate people to work. So this is also an example of how to manage difficult or unreasonable employees. Suppose government office रे तुम अछ किछि सेतरे थिबे एम्प्लॉय जो माने जानि छथि कि देखो गवर्नमेंट जॉब रु बाहर करिया तांको डिफिकल्ट, तो से माने कहे कि हां ऑफिसर आसले कोन करी हमें तो बाहरी भी नहीं ऑफिस. So there you have to take the stick approach, right? There you might even go and you will say कि चलो if you are not doing your own work, if you are neglecting your duty, I will start departmental proceedings against you, or I will recommend you to the appropriate authority to start departmental proceeding. So unreasonable employee को deal करें. This is also an example of emotional intelligence, right? Similarly, to achieve organizational targets, ଏସବୁ ଜିନିଷ ତ ଆମେ ଦେଖିଛୁ already, set by superiors or higher authority. So this is something which is leading to productivity of the organization को improve करिया, तारा targets को हमें meet करिया. To deal with uncertainty and change, this is also very माने great example. How you can give example कि to deal with uncertainty and change, think of COVID-19. This is a huge challenge for the entire district administration. जोड़ा हमारा phrase कौन दिन घोड़ी के घोड़ा छुटुची. There was a time when everything was going like that. हम हाथ रे बहुत बेसी किसी कंट्रोल नहीं. आज कोरोना के सेतिक बेसी ही गलानी. कोठे लोक माने केस किसी माने सॉरी रेस्ट्रिक्शंस किसी मानु नांती. So how the administration was going to respond? It was going through a lot of uncertainty and change. So the people who were in charge of administration, if they understand ki how we are going to use emotional intelligence to lead people, they would have created a condition of certainty or relative certainty. For example, you'll say ki chalo these are the rules, please follow the rules for your own benefit. ନିଜର benefit ପାଇଁ ଅନ୍ୟର ବି ଅନ୍ୟମାନଙ୍କର health ପାଇଁ ବି we are going to follow this rule. So people who are calm between the storm, calm amidst the storm, they are using emotional intelligence to their maximum. ମୁଁ ତମକୁ ଗୋଟେ କଥା କହିଥିଲି ଯେତେବେଳେ ଦେଖ ତୁମ ନିଜ ଲାଇଫରେ କେମିତି ୟୁଜ ହବ. ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ କଥା କହିଥିଲି କି ଯେତେବେଳେ ଏକ୍ସାମ ଯେତେ ନିୟରର ଆସି ଚାଲିବ, ଓକେ, ସପୋଜ ଫେବ୍ରୁଆରୀ ଏଣ୍ଡ ରେ ହଉଛି ଏକ୍ସାମ. So ଯେତେ କ୍ଲୋଜ ହେଇ ଆସିବ କିଛି ପିଲା କଣ ହବ ତାଙ୍କର anxiety level ଧୀରେ ଧୀରେ ବଢି there will come a point କି they are unable to study at all. ମାନେ study ପୁରା completely ଛାଡି ହିଁ ଦେବେ. And there are some other people would be there who are able to study for an average amount of time. बहुत अधिका नୁହଁ, just ଗୋଟେ average amount of time. याको ଭିତରୁ କେହି ବି ପିଲା ୟୁଜୁଆଲି ନଥାଏ କି ସେମାନେ ଏକ୍ସାମ ପାଖ ଟାଇମ ରେ ବହୁତ ହ୍ୟୁଜ ଆମାଉଣ୍ଟ ର ପଢି ପାରୁଥିବେ, ପୂର୍ବରୁ ବି ବହୁତ ହ୍ୟୁଜ लेट अस से 10 to 12 hours की पढ़ते सेंती यूजुअली हुए ना. बट सपोज इवन ए जो पिला जो पाठ पढुछन्ते मानको यदि लागे कि मु तो एवरेज पढ़ी पारु नाही, भाभी कि से बहुत स्ट्रेस नेबे, देन दैट इज आल्सो माने दे शुड नॉट टेक स्ट्रेस. आई हैव टोल्ड यू एन एग्जांपल कि व्हाट इज द डेफिनेशन ऑफ ए मिलिटरी जीनियस. मोटा ग्रुप रे लिखिथिली कि नहीं. नेपोलियन हैड सेड कि the definition of a military genius is a person who is able to do the average things when everyone else around him is going insane or mad. अन्य माने स्ट्रेस में पागल है पढ़ा पढ़े छाड़ी दे, बट यू आर एबल टू डू सम एवरेज थिंग. देखो तुमको गोटे जीनियस काम करिया बहुत ह्यूज जिंस किछि करिया कोन तुमको कहा होछि तुम 8 आवर्स खाली पढ़. इफ यू आर इवन नॉट एबल टू डू दिस देन द फॉल्ट इज विथ यू. बट जतले लोक माने पढ़ा पढ़ी पिला माने पढ़ा छाड़ी दउचंदी, देयर यू आर एबल टू डू एवरेज थिंग्स, देन यू विल pull ahead of the race. So people are left behind, you are here, right? So this is also an example of emotional intelligence. To have this kind of wisdom, this kind of wisdom comes from a lot of experience also. That's why I'm telling you ki don't get too much stressed. Stress no nahi ki rather goal taku process re convert kar diyo and enjoy the process, right? So emotional intelligence ro gote aspect bhi eta hochi ki to deal with uncertainty and change. देखो अनसर्टेनिटी तुम केस रे भी काम कर तुमको जाना नहीं एग्जैक्टली केबे मेन एग्जाम हो. एबे तुम भीतर किसी पिला जो माने भाबुते कि सपोज कि एग्जाम जो दिन डेट बाहरी मु ता परे ही मोर प्लान करी शेड्यूल. दिस इज अ बैड वे ऑफ प्लानिंग. रादर यू शुड थिंक कि दिस इज अ रीजनेबल टाइम, वी कैन एक्सपेक्ट कि फरवरी और मार्च में एग्जाम हो. सो इन दिस रीजनेबल टारगेट इन माइंड यू आर प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर द एग्जाम. नाउ वी कैन से कि यू आर डीलिंग विथ अनसर्टेनिटी एंड चेंज कोन. सपोज इमीडिएटली न्यूज आसला कि now exam has shifted from February to March. Now you are माने तुम्हें कौन कहो how you are able to deal with the change की you will slightly change your schedule a bit also. Now you will take maybe more time to revise instead of reading. Now you will spend more time to revise your stuff. So this is also an example of use of emotional intelligence. Similarly, to bounce back from setbacks, resilience हमें कथा दिलु, perseverance, resilience, grit, these are similar thing. Perseverance, grit, resilience. Setback रू हमें recover करिया. To build rapport with colleagues, trust building exercise, and to create goodwill among your colleagues, right? This will help in enhanced group dynamics. तुम group dynamic का develop कीजिए. Similarly, for example, rapport with colleagues माने कौन? Suppose you are in service, okay? Then if you are not, suppose you are not very cordial with your colleagues, तुम भाबियो कि मु तो केवल मोर जूनियर एम्प्लॉई मानक थ्रू काम करेनि, कलीग मानकर कौन काम अछि. माइट हैपन कि तुम तांकर नीड भी केतेले तुमको दरकार पड़ी पारे, तांकर हेल्प भी दरकार पड़ी पारे. सो यू शुड हैव कोडियल रिलेशनशिप, राइट? Similarly, to tap into the group potential, very important. Group potential माने कौन, माने किछि लोक तुमरो एंटायर ग्रुप रे किछि लोक थिबे जो मानकर बेस्ट कैपेबिलिटी गोटे वे रे थिबो, आउ किछि लोक जो मानकर कैपेबिलिटी आउ गोटे फील्ड रे बेटर अछि. यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड कि काहा को फॉर एग्जांपल आमे रिसोर्स एलोकेशन करिया और सॉरी रेस्पोंसिबिलिटी दबा काहा को कोन दबा. सपोज वन पर्सन इज वेरी गुड एट पीपल रिलेशन, ओके, कथा कहयार शैली बहुत भलो, लोकन साने भलो कथा ही पारे, मोटिवेट करि पारे, सब किछि करि पारे, तो ताको आमे किछि गोटे आउटगोइंग काम दबा, राइट. किछि लोक जो माने डेस्क जॉब रे एक्सेल करନ୍ତି, डेस्क जॉब ही ताको भल लागे, बैकग्राउंड रे बसी काम करि भल लागे, ताको आमे से वाला डेस्क जॉब किछि दबा, बसी के अकाउंट चेक करो. बट इफ यू आर कंफ्यूजिंग दिस आउटगोइंग पर्सन को डेस्क जॉब देतलो, से फ्रस्ट्रेटेड ही तारो प्रोडक्टिविटी डाउन ही जो. जो लोग बाहर को जेबे जो पसंद नहीं करने ताको तुम जबरदस्ती दे देलो काम कि जाओ तुम बुली बुली लोक साथ कथा हो, कोन प्रॉब्लम अछि. You have to understand कि कहारो कौन group potential अच्छी, then you have to tap that potential. Similarly, you have to use the diversity of your workforce. Diversity here means diversity in the sense of cultural experience or cultural background, right? Diversity in this case of work experience also. Diversity of educational background. All of these cases, these are diverse people will be working. So you have to consider all of these things while dealing with them, right? So for example, one person is तुम किसी गोटे मीटिंग अरेंज करछो तुम्हारा ऑफिस, राइट. So for example, let us say you are doing a feast, arranging a feast for your employees. You took some responsibility, you gave some other responsibilities, other stuff, sorry, other employees को other responsibility देला. Suppose जण को तुम्हें responsibility देला कि आपण जानतो कोन काम करे, चिकन आनी की, it is your responsibility कि चिकन रंधा हो. Suppose that person is pure vegetarian, the person will be offended. Cultural experience, cultural differences, he will say, sir, why are you giving me this kind of responsibility? You give responsibility to someone else. ମୁଁ ତ ସେ ସବୁ ଜିନିଷ ଛୁଏଁ ହିଁ ନାହିଁ. ତ ସେଠି ତମେ ଯଦି ଇନସିଷ୍ଟ କରିବ ନାହିଁ ଆମର ତ ଗ୍ରୁପ वर्क माने होची हम समस्त सब टाइप रो काम करिया बाध्य. देयर यू शुड हैव दिस सेंसिबिलिटी आल्सो, राइट. सेंसिबिलिटी और सेंसिटिवनेस कि काहा को हमें को टाइप रो काम दो, राइट. सपोज you have some work which is related to women self help groups. So if you are giving this job to a तुम पर ऑप्शन अछि, one is your female employee, one is a male employee. Usually preferred to female employee को काम दे, unless there are other factors are there. Suppose he कि male employee is more efficient, then you can send the person here. But if other factors are same, then it is better कि you provide the job to female employee, ताको responsibility दो other. Are you able to understand किमती हमें diversity को use करिया हमारे workforce. And finally, lead by example. Mean the leader will take lead, leader will show the way, right? Show the way as well as walk the way, right? So खाली हमें way देखिए नहीं, the leader himself or herself will do the thing, then only the followers will follow, right? So if Mahatma Gandhi had said ki let us do non-violence, but on the weekend he went on hunting. तो weekend रे जाए कि से छड़ी शिकार करूचंदी, बाघ शिकार करूचंदी, whatever is there. And weekdays रे he सेमान लोगों को कहते नहीं हमें non-violence follow करिए. Would people have accepted his preaching? They would not have. So if you are saying something, first you have to do it, you have to lead it by example, okay. तुम यदि ऑफिस रे हेड ऑफ द ऑफिस है कि तुम कह कि समस्त 10 o'clock सुधा आसी पहुंचिया दरकार, ओके. तुम एवरीडे 10:30 रे पहुंचो, you will definitely not see any of your employees reach by 10, okay. एबे डेली तुम कंप्लेन करियो मु तो रूल बाहर कर देछि समस्त 10टा सुधा पहुंचिया कथा. एबे तुमको मे भी तुम एम्प्लॉय माने कहबे नहीं कोन रीजन पे पहुंचती. But it is something that you should understand कि तुम यदि 10टा सुधा पहुंचना ऑफिस रे, then you cannot expect others to reach by 10, right. This is also an example कि we have to lead by example. Now these are some diagrams आमे कथा हितलो value addition. This is not a gimmick, this is actual value addition. जोतरे आमे diagram form रे we can improve our answers. So outcome EI in governance outcome कौन होगा? So I have shown this in this diagram. First it will be a citizen centric governance. We had discussed कि good governance रा माने out definition होची कि citizen centric governance where citizens are put at the center. Similarly, it will also increase the legitimacy of government. आमे यार गोटे एग्जांपल देथिलु legitimacy, government legitimacy माने कोन. मु गोटे पचारथिली मन को सपोज गवर्नमेंट तो पावर रे अछि, राइट. सपोज इफ दे आर डूइंग इलेक्शन, से माने एंटायर इलेक्शन को रिगिंग कर देले कि जो भी बटन दबाइबो वोट जीवो ए पॉलिटिकल पार्टी को, सर्टेन पॉलिटिकल पार्टी ताको निज पॉलिटिकल पार्टी. So what is stopping government from doing this? The point is कि government जदि इभला widespread इभला काम करिवे ताले even if they are coming to power in the next term, now तांकर जहाँ decision नेबे लोक माने ताको accept करिवे नाही. Because suppose now government will say कि केही COVID-19 restriction हमर हेती केही घर बाहरियो नाही. लोक माने सीधा complain करिए तुमे power रे आसिलो केमितिया तुमे तो power रे election rigging करके आसो तुमे कि हमको एते कथा कहया तुमे तो actually power को आस्ता तो ठीक वे रे ताले हम तुम कथा मानिता. So government legitimacy कमी जिवो. Okay. So in the other way जदि हम good governance करिवा ताले government legitimacy बढ़ी जिवो. जदि गोटे सी this is the relation between political executive and कौन डारडो कौन कहती bureaucratic executive, right, or administration. The link is कि administration जदि well perform कला यार good impact पड़ियो political executive ऊपर, in the sense कि people मानकर trust भी बढ़ी जिवो political executive ऊपर, because at the end of the day you are all part of the executive. Political executive हला this is the temporary executive, this is the permanent executive, but this is more powerful, this is less powerful, or at least it is how it is supposed to be. So if you are doing good work, administration is doing good work, then people's faith in the political executive as well as democratic system itself, that will increase. So this is also why we should have emotional intelligence in governance. कि आमे यदि एई एग्जीक्यूटिव माने एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन हो कि पॉलिटिकल एग्जीक्यूटिव माने हो एमाने यदि लोकन संगे भलो डील करिए ता लोकनकर फेथ इन डेमोक्रेसी विल इंप्रूव. Faith in democracy will improve. If they are misbehaving with people, then लोगों democracy ऊपर faith with democratic institutions as well as democratic processes decrease ହେଇଯିବ. For example, suppose now you would know कि every Monday usually district administration ने collectorate office रे grievance redressal हुए. So लोक माने जी भी बाहर आसी से माने complain करि पारा. Suppose आमे कोन करिए से complain जतले करूछन्ती लोक माने collector हुंतु कि आउ कि भी तांकर officer हुंतु से लोकन संगे खराब behave करि. देन लोक माने कोन करे जो माने एक्चुअली ऑफिस को आस्तले माने ऑफिस को आसिया बंद कर दे. एबे यदि आमे अफसर माने खुशी हिजबे कि लोक माने बे चलो ऑफिस को आसुनांती हम तो काम कमी होला यार खराब इंपैक्ट परे कोन पड़ियो द सेम पीपल विल थ्रो यू आउट ऑफ द ऑफिस, राइट. फर्स्ट इंपैक्ट विल फॉल ऑन द पॉलिटिकल एग्जीक्यूटिव. नेक्स्ट ईयर से माने से इलेक्शन जीत परिए नाही. सेकंड इंपैक्ट देन विल फॉल ऑन द एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन कि एथरे भी यदि इंपैक्ट किछि न पड़िला एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ऊपर लोक माने सीधा है कि फॉर एग्जांपल राइट्स हो लोक माने विरक्त है कि इवन कलेक्टर एसपी को ऊपर हाथ उठेबे यार भी एक्चुअली इंस्टेंस अछि. आई विल टेल यू वन एग्जांपल. ओडिसा रे इमते गोटे केस हितला, might have seen this in the news. What happened was that there was a case of गोटे कहार गोटे डेथ हे गला. ओके गोटे विलेज रे कार डेथ हे गला मे बी ड्यू टू सम नेग्लिजेंस ऑफ सम ऑफिशियल. मतलब डेथ हे गला यूजुअली कोन हुए विलेजर्स माने आसी रास्ता रोक करतियंती. सो ए सब केस तमे देखिथियो. तो किछ विलेजर आसी रास्ता रोक कर देले. ओडिसा रे केस गोटे हितला. सो नाउ द पुलिस सब आसी इमीडिएटली पहुंची गले कंट्रोल करिया पे. बहुत भीड़ हिची क्राउड हिची. नाउ द पीपल स्टार्टेड डिमांडिंग कि आमे एठी चाहूछु कलेक्टर और एडीएम कि गोटे हाई लेवल ऑफिसर आसंतु एंड आमको प्रतिश्रुति दियंतु कि जहार डेथ हिची तांको किछि कंपनसेशन मिलु, राइट. देन व्हेन दिस न्यूज़ वेंट टू द डिस्ट्रिक्ट ऑफिस जहार से मैंने डिमांड करथिले एडीएम और डीएम आई डोंट रिमेंबर एडीएम प्रोबेबली. ओके नाउ ए पर्सन को ऊपर तो कहला कि लोक ने डिमांड करछन आपन हेडी जान फॉर सम रीजन मे बी he didn't want to go there. So he tried to से जिनसा तो डिले कर चले. तो 6 आवर्स 7 आवर्स एमती लोक माने बसवे से तले लोक माने देखिले कि ऑफिसर माने केही आसुना दी सेठी एसपी भी थिले. देयर वाज एन एल्डरली वुमन who actually tried to physically abuse the SP. I think she tried to slap the SP or something. ठीक अछि. Now you cannot take action against this kind of riot also. I have you कि SP तो बहुत powerful से sanction को arrest करने. You try to understand the situation ना social situation भी कौन अछि. Their agitation was also justified. But because the person did not come, officer जो मैंने responsibility नवा का तो समझने आसिले नहीं. So now they transferred their anger to someone else. Now whose fault is there? Who do you think is at fault here? Very basic question. कहाँ को कौन करे आतिले आते? Tell me. Anyone? No, it's a very simple question I think. Am I audible or not? कौन है?
ତାଙ୍କ ଲିଡରଙ୍କ ସହିତ ଡାଇରେକ୍ଟ କଥାବାର୍ତ୍ତା କରେଇ ଦେଇଥାଏ.
Very କଥାବାର୍ତ୍ତା ବି ନୁହେଁ. एक्चुअली डीएम और एडीएम को से स्पॉट को ही पारथिला से जो लेट कले 6-7 आवर्स पर्यंत लेट करिया कथा नथिला प्रथम जेतले पुलिस इनिशियली पहुंची हिचंदी माने so you have a physical backup कि जिनसटा बहुत बेसी escalate करिवेनी there are some force to protect you so now it is the responsibility of the district administration because police माने तो compensation देबे नहीं monetary compensation किए तो district office देबे collectorate so collectorate officer someone should have taken responsibility either the collector ADM or any other senior officer they should have gone to the spot immediately but because they didn't go in time so जिनसटा escalate ही गला so सेठी हमर देखो again emotional intelligence कौन use करियार थिला if you are in a similar situation you have to first use the emotional intelligence कि even though public pressure सेठी अछि still I have to go there I have to confront the situation and I have to diffuse the situation उसे लोगों को anger को केमते diffuse कर दे for example you will say कि हाँ ठीक अछि we will consider all of these things so again the solution that you gave community leaders मान को डाका जाए जो माने तुम community leader अछि will talk to them elderly loco respected people will talk to them will try to diffuse the tension but because they were unable to do that so the escalation continued right so in other words legitimacy of the government will also depend on how or to what extent governance रे जो माने अछि से माने emotional intelligence को extent रे use करछन right so this will a point we have discuss kale popular trust in democracy democratic institutions as well as democratic processes ग्रीवेंस रिड्रेसल भी आम डिस्कस करले फॉर एग्जांपल आम कहली कि मंडे दिन ग्रीवेंस रिड्रेसल होची इफ सपोज हमर पीपल्स रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स एंड पब्लिक सर्वेंट्स माने खराब बिहेव कले लोक मान गड इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस रो अभाव पई त लोक मान धीरे धीरे जीवा बंद कर दे एंड सेथरे आम खुशी हवा कथा ना दैट इज अ बैड थिंग बिकॉज़ नाउ द एक्शन विल बी टेकन ऑन यू लेटर ऑन डायरेक्टली और इनडायरेक्टली अन्य किछ एक्शन हम ऊपर पड़ी राइट so these are the uses of emotional intelligence in governance. Now, this is also the role of emotional intelligence in governance. If you want, you can draw this kind of diagrams. ये सब diagram एगुड़ा सब मोर निजर diagram एटा को standard textbook किसी सेमते नहीं. These are all out of my own understanding of the subject. So why I'm telling you this key? That means if you understand subject, you can also draw this kind of diagrams out of your own understanding. Don't think कि Daniel Goleman ही diagram emotional intelligence देले मु करबी नहले मु करबी. हमें निज अंडरस्टैंडिंग को जहाँ बुझे सेटा करि परिया. So here what I have done कि हमें गोटे stakeholder model में तैयारी करछि जोथरे citizen and people अछंती public servant if you see the diagram public servant माने citizens और people को कौन दउछंती they are providing service right so they are providing service to the people in return people are doing what public grievance जणौछंती people माने तांगर demand भी create करछंती government को जणौछंती in return they are also voting the government into power and if you see what is the role of good governance entire good governance role कौन in the understanding of people's emotions motivations attitude ये सब जिनसो understand कले ही हमें good governance दे पारे we should be both at the end of public servants as well as government and in this there will be the role of emotional intelligence okay when there are people there we have the role of emotional intelligence right so you can see this in the note and you can improve this चलो एटा तो हमें डिस्कस करथले एआई इन लीडरशिप हमें डिस्कस कर साचु मैक्सिमम जिंसो इट दिस इज द डेफिनेशन ऑफ स्टैंडर्ड डेफिनेशन ऑफ लीडरशिप आई टोल्ड यू लीडर इज समवन हु टेक्स अ टीम टुवर्ड्स अ गोल टीम और ऑर्गेनाइजेशन और कम्युनिटी किछ भी करे कंट्री भी ही करे राइट इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस रोल ताले लीडरशिप रे कोन हम टू अंडरस्टैंड द नीड्स ऑफ एम्प्लॉइज टू मोटिवेट एम्प्लॉइज organizational role clarity to lead by example and transformational changes that is transformational leaders so point I am discuss कर such and I have given an example of miracle man of Manipur यांको नाम तुम सुनिथियो आर्मस्ट्रांग पामे he is actually मणिपुर काडर जने आए सबसे तो 100 किलोमीटर लंबा रोड से तैयारी करथिले out of crowd funding as well as his own contributions means गवर्नमेंट को एते रिक्वेस्ट कले गोटे रूरल मणिपुर एरिया रे से पोस्टेड थिले तो देखले कि रास्ता ही नहीं जीवा so road is the basic necessity that will connect you to the outside world तो गवर्नमेंट को एते रिक्वेस्ट कले गवर्नमेंट आमे फंड किछि देला नहीं so he said कि ठीक है let me do this myself so he invested 5 lakh of his own fund and अन्य लोगों को भी रिक्वेस्ट करके एंटायर गांव वाला मिसी की से रास्ता टाउ तैयारी करनी if you see this person here he is Armstrong Pame right so he is part of the construction process so again which do you think how do you think he would be able to huge emotional intelligence, he certainly would have been able to motivate his employees. He would have to been able to enroll others in his own vision, right? ନିଜର vision, long term vision ଦେଖେଇଥିବେ କି ଆମେ ଏମିତିଆ ରାସ୍ତା କଲେ ଆମେ successful ହେଇପାରିବା, ଲୋକଙ୍କର benefit ହବ, successful ତ ନୁହଁ benefit ହବ. So then he would be able to motivate people and ତା through ରେ ହିଁ ରାସ୍ତାଟା ତିଆରି କରିପାରିଲେ. This is a good example you can write. What is the use of emotional intelligence in administration? Okay. Any doubts so far? Now some other examples or case studies I have written. Many IAS officer माने कौन करती, untouchable जो मन कहुए तांका संगरे यूजुअली देखी बहुत सारा वीडियोस और फोटोज आसथियो कि सपोज यार कलेक्टर और यार एडीएम इठी बसकी किछि दलित और सो कॉल्ड अनटचेबल्स मान संगरे बसी खाउछन. This is again it is sending a message of our constitutional values as well as respecting the emotions of underprivileged sections. ଗୋଟେ एग्जांपल एथे देइछि राहुल कुमार बोली जणे थिले, से बिहार रो गोटे जगह पोस्टेड थिले जोथरे कि मिड डे मील फूड जो रांधु थिले जणे कुक, दोज लेडीज वे विडोज, तो विडोज मानकु किछि एम्प्लॉयमेंट दिया हेतिला, बट सेमानकर रांधिया खाया पिला माने खाउ नथले. स्पेसिफिकली जो हायर कास्ट फैमिली को जो स्टूडेंट्स माने थिले तांको फैमिली मेंबर ही मना करथिले कि तुम खाउन, बिकॉज़ जो विडोज माने ताको रांधुछंती. तो से राहुल कुमार वेंट देयर एंड ही started eating there and to show to the people ki these are all ridiculous things, right? Similarly Sourav Kumar, he was an IAS officer, lunch with collector Dantewada छत्तीसगढ़ रे से स्टार्ट करथिले. तो से लिटरली कौन कले छत्तीसगढ़ रो किछि ट्राइबल यूथ मानकु डाकी तांका साने बसे लंच तांकु खाया को देले एंड तांकु इन दैट माने प्रीटेक्स्ट व्हाट ही यूज्ड टू डू इज कि ही यूज्ड टू मोटिवेट पीपल कि देखो इफ यू आर एबल टू पार्टिसिपेट इन as you know as a colleague of mine, if you are able to participate in district administration, so that means administration is listening to the people. So to avoid joining the Maoist तांकु मना करथिले because बहुत सारा छत्तीसगढ़ ट्राइबल यूथ समान को ट्रैप करथिले माओइस्ट माने administration against सब message देकी. So it was his initiative. So he understood कि how we can motivate the local youth. एमते प्रशांत नायर कर कथा मु आगु भी कहथिली कलेक्टर ब्रो, से तांकर सेटिकार लोकल लोकन कहथिले कि मते कलेक्टर सर बोली कहनी, मते को कलेक्टर ब्रो यूथ मानू. अगेन टू कनेक्ट विथ द यूथ, कलेक्टर ब्रो कहले कोन, कलेक्टर इज आवर ब्रो. कलेक्टर सर कहले कोन, अरे सर तो बहुत बड़ा लोक, सर के पाख हम जाई कोटे ग्रीवेंस कहि पारि. अगेन सिटीजन सेंट्रिक मॉडल, राइट? गुड गवर्नेंस, हॉलमार्क ऑफ गुड गवर्नेंस इज टू बी सिटीजन सेंट्रिक. ओके. स्वच्छ भारत मिशन. Now can you tell me, I do an example, I have not explained this thing. Can you tell me what was the use of emotional intelligence in these two missions or these two schemes of the government? Think and tell me how government used emotional intelligence.
स्वच्छ भारत रे पीएम प्राइम मिनिस्टर जो झाड़ू मार के देखैथिले सेटा गुटे इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस काम रे लागिला, लोक माने ताको इन्फ्लुएंस
Very good, excellent. Yes, what else? Give it up campaign.
सर ये बेटा परे कहथिले आपण जो लेस अवार्ड मोर मोटिवेशन रे गोटे जो
Very good. आमे कथा हेतिलु कि less leads to more effect, right?
सर मोर गोटे डाउट ना माने एई इफेक्ट माने सिविल सर्वेंट ऊपर के लागू हुए कि माने बिकॉज़
हाँ
दे
हाँ समझ.
तांका सैलरी कम है बट सेमन कहते वी आर सैटिस्फाइड.
No, it's not about salary. You have to understand कि it is less of more रो कथा को आउची. एथिरे तुमरो entitlement कथा को आ जाउनी. देखो, if you are working something, you know कि you are entitled to get a certain amount. सेथिरे यदि less दो तो लोक रागी जिवे. तुमरो सपोज यू आर अ वेज लेबरर, तुम जति काम करिया कथा, जति पैसा पाया कथा, दिनो 300 टका पाया कथा, तुम 250 रुपीस देकी से लोक कहि कि नहीं मु साइकोलॉजी पढ़ के आसी, less leads to more effect. तो बाबू तुम 250 देले तुम खाली मो पई एक्स्ट्रा काम करियो, तो से वेज लेबरर तुम बाडियो. Don't mistake entitlement with incentive. Incentive is something extra. आमे किसी गोटे एक्स्ट्रा जिंस अवार्ड करछे, सेतले आमे लेस देले लोक माने ताको इंट्रिंसिक मोटिवेशन हिसाब रे ने. जेतले जहार प्राप्य जति पाए कथा सेटा तो आमे ताको सेति दबा. सो इफ सिविल सर्वेंट्स माने जहा काम करछन्ती, दे नो दे आर लिटरेट एनफ टू नो कि से माने जति काम करछन तार प्राप्य अमाउंट केते, तार सैलरी केते हबा द, ताठू कम देले तांको ऊपर लेस लीड्स टू मोर इफेक्ट पड़िबो नाही. You have to pay people their salary जति पड़िया कथा. कथा होची सपोज एक्स्ट्रा तांको किछि जिंस दिया, सपोज तांको प्रमोशन दिया होची, प्रमोशन भी चलो, प्रमोशन को भी एंटाइटलमेंट बोली सान भाव. एक्स्ट्रा माने कोन, सपोज You are providing, you are providing anyone with any kind of encouragement, right? So initially small encouragement, then you will say ki you do better things, ताले better encouragement मिलियो, धीरे धीरे से encouragement level भी बढ़ियो, person will be able to understand कि okay मु केते काम कले मते केते praise and मिलुची, for example social praise केते मिलुची, social attention मते लोक attention केते मिलुची, okay initially तमे सब full attention दे दो गोटे employee को, ताले employee will get spoiled also, right? Anyway, we are getting distracted. My point was, what is the use of give it up campaign में कौन emotional intelligence use हेतला in environmental? Yes, someone else was saying something.
सर
सर एम्पाथी
ଲୋକଙ୍କୁ ମୋଟିଭେଟ କରାଗଲା କି ଯଦି ଏଇଟା ଛାଡିଦବ ଏଇ ମାନେ ତାକୁ ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟ କାମରେ ୟୁଜ କରାଯାଇ ପାରିବ।
Right, that is also one type of emotional intelligence use कराला कि you give it up for the country, not for yourself but for the country, right? So that is also an example of how we use. चलो मैं इटा लिखिनी कोठी कोटे पॉइंट मत लागला फोटो कोटे देथिलि। So ଲୋକଙ୍କର ଇମୋସନ କୁ ଆମେ ଫିଲ୍ କଲୁ। yes yes
ସେଇ ସ୍ୱଚ୍ଛ ଭାରତ ମିଶନରେ ସେଠାରେ ଗାନ୍ଧିଜୀଙ୍କୁ ବି ପୋର୍ଟ୍ରେ କରାହେଇଥିଲା ଏଜ ଏ ଆଇଡିଆଲ,
very
ସେଟା
good
ବି
excellent
ନ୍ୟାସନାଲ ଇଣ୍ଟେଲିଜେନ୍ସ ରେ କରାହେଲା। ତା ସହିତ
excellent
ଗଭର୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ବିଜେପି ଗଭର୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ଏଟା ବି ପୋର୍ଟ୍ରେ କଲା କି ଆମର କଂଗ୍ରେସ ପ୍ରତି ଏତେ ବି ଇଏ ଟକ୍ସିସିଟି ନାହିଁ, we are neutral to everyone, both ଜିନିଷ ହେଇଗଲା।
ଏତେ ସେଲରା I think from your voice.
yes sir, yes sir।
okay okay very good. So yes ଗାନ୍ଧୀଙ୍କ ବି ୟୁଜ କରାହେଲା। ଦେଖ ଗାନ୍ଧୀଙ୍କ ପ୍ରତି ବି କିଛି ଲୋକଙ୍କର ପଜିଟିଭ ଇମୋସନ୍ସ ଏବେ ବି ଅଛି। ଏବେ ଚାଲ ଓଭର ଦ ଟାଇମ କିଛି ନେଗେଟିଭ ବହୁତ ସାରା ନେଗେଟିଭିଟି ବି ଅଛି, ବଟ ବହୁତ ଲୋକ ବି ମାନୁଛନ୍ତି ଗାନ୍ଧୀ। ତ ଗାନ୍ଧୀଙ୍କର ସିମ୍ବଲ ବି ୟୁଜ କରାହେଲା ସ୍ୱଚ୍ଛ ଭାରତ ମିଶନ ଟୁ appeal to the emotion of the people. This is something which is related to freedom struggle, which is related to our constitutional values, which is related to the days of 1947, which inspired the country, right? PM leading himself, leading by example. Again, it's an example of transformational leadership is controversial. Certainly, an example of leadership, effective leadership, we can say at least, right? Similarly, give it up campaign ने कहा है कि LPG subsidy they give it up for the country. If not for yourself, you give it up for the country. So these are some case studies that you can write to enrich your answers. Now, ଗୋଟେ additional note ଅଛି, good governance ଯଦି ଆମେ ଦେଖିବା UN ର model ଏଟା ଠିକ ଅଛି, United Nation ର model ଟାକୁ this has been adopted by, I have forgotten to mention this. This is United Nation model of good governance. ତ ସେମାନେ this was adopted by the second ARC, second Administrative Reforms Commission. They said कि 8टा component ଅଛି, rule of law, responsibility, honesty, objectivity, impartiality, all of these things, but one point is empathy also. So empathy is part of emotional intelligence, right? So these were all part of your emotional intelligence. Chapter is over in general. Okay. One last small topic was there which is related to aptitude. This is part of your attitude and aptitude chapter. Shorter part, let us go through it quickly, then class will be over. And at the end again, if you have any doubt, we'll take it up in the end again. So let us see aptitude con. Now aptitude is a potential for any ability. Okay. You can also call it a future potential. Future potential for any ability or specific field of work. ताको aptitude. Okay. So that means potential माने which is not been realized till now. एबे पर्यंत realize हैनी, but potential अछि. That is known as aptitude. So it is also known as alternative definition, competency to do certain kind of work or perform at a certain level. Competence. ଯାହାର already କିଛି ଗୋଟେ inbuilt ଜିନିଷ ଅଛି. It is also known as the aptness or the quickness to succeed in a field of activity. So from all of these definitions, you will be able to understand कि aptitude कौन है कि aptitude what a potential जिनिस, which is also sometimes known as a talent, right? So potential टा realize है कि it will become turn into ability, right? So कହାର जने potential है, for example जनकर talent अच्छी, ता ऊपर hard work कले, then they will get the success. So then they will develop ability and finally they will get success. So again, this is my model. इम्तिया model quotation से diagram बाहर किसने? Again from my own understanding. Now aptitude or जोटा को हमें potential कहोचे, so potential कोठो आसुची? To some extent it might be genetic. किसी genetic factor से थाई पारे. To some extent it is a inborn quality, किसी talent अच्छी. And when we are providing it with training, when we are providing it with experience, when we are providing the person with learning, जैसे लोकटा सिखुची किछि, and when there is guidance, कि लोको से पिला को किछि guidance मिलुची, then it is being converted into ability. And when there is ability, on the day of performance, all the D day रे जो दिन ताको परफॉर्म करिया थियो से दिन सेटा परफॉर्मेंस रे बाहरी. For example, suppose you are a very talented person, from again I have written here, from potential to realization. So suppose you have an aptitude for studying. Okay, तुम्हारा studying ପାଇଁ aptitude अछि, that means you are a talented person. Maybe तुम्हारा inherited intelligence किछि अछि, आउ किछि inbuilt talent अछि for intellectual sharpness. So that is reflecting in your aptitude. Now you will work on the aptitude. For example, you will attend the classes, you will understand the topics, you will take the test. Through this you will develop your academic ability. This is how aptitude is turning into ability. Then on the day of the exam, now exam day re kon, on the day of performance, tomorrow ability ta convert over into performance, so you will get the accordingly academic result. This is simple conversion of potential to realization or reality. Now these sort of questions 10 marker usually पचार दिया जाए, directly इनसे पचारा जाए. What is the difference between attitude and ability? Attitude and aptitude. What is the difference between aptitude and ability? So you have to understand. Aptitude और ability के difference कौन? Aptitude is a future potential to do some work. Ability हो जी current ability. Current ability और current capacity भी लिखते हैं. So this is future, this is current. So aptitude will need what? Learning, training, experience through the ability to convert हो. Ability हो जी something which is जो तेरे aptitude टा already realize ही, and it can be turned into performance as and when required. जो दिन perform कर रहे थे वो perform करियो. Right? For example, think of someone, your doctor John. ताका भीतर ability टा develop ही सारी to see the patient. अब whenever performance is needed, माने जेता patient ताका पाको आसिले, then he is able to immediately perform. Right? Similarly, aptitude can predict the fitness for specific fields. जदि आमे देखिलु काहा भीतर किछि aptitude अछि गोटे काम पई, आमे predict कर परिया कि पिलाटी ए काम रे सक्सेसफुल हो. आउ ability अछि माने it is already showing performance, right? से तो already perform करूछि, so from that we understand कि तारो ability अछि. So similarly, if you will see what are the measurement tools, aptitude को केमते measure करा होय. Entire if you see CSAT, in fact I will say prelims entirely आजकल ही छै aptitude test ही, ability test आउ किछ नाही. आगरो prelims रे चलो GS पेपर टा तो achievement test और ability test थिला to a great extent, because it was a knowledge based exam back then. But एबे एते random जो ही चीज specifically UPSC prelims, now we can call it as an aptitude test. केटा knowledge आउ काम करनी, it is skill आउ attitude बेसी काम करछ, right? So CSAT specifically, if you see the name रही है Civil Services Aptitude Test. So this is something which is testing your aptitude, not your achievement. Right? So if you give example कि यार example कौन ए टाइप रो किसी questions तुम्हें देखि दियो, याकू कहते Raven progressive matrices और RPM. देखि दियो एंदे चारिटा बॉक्स थिबो, चारिटा कि पांचटा बॉक्स थिबो, सेतरे भितरे फिगर गुडा को मैनिपुलेट कराई दियो. So you will see कि this is figure number 1, figure number 2, figure number 3. इटा यदि एमिते मूव करूची तले figure number 4 कौन हो. So this is an example of aptitude. तो यार पॉइंट कौन है, let me tell you कि इस सब आंसर पॉइंट कौन देखो. तुम यदि सपोज गोटे दुई टाइप रो क्वेश्चन अछि, तुम यदि क्वेश्चन पचारियो कि व्हाट इज द कैपिटल ऑफ इंडिया. ओके, नाउ दिस इज एन अचीवमेंट टेस्ट, बिकॉज़ हेई पारे कि किछि पिला से माने अछन जो माने फॉर्मल लर्निंग तांकर थिबो. So maybe they are fortunate enough जो माने स्कूल को जाइछन, so they will know कि कैपिटल ऑफ इंडिया होछि न्यू दिल्ली. बट किछि पिला कोन अछन, मे बी फॉर सम रीजन तांकर फॉर्मल लर्निंग किछि नै, बट से माने मेंटली शार्प थई पारन. बट बिकॉज ऑफ सम रीजन सपोज स्कूल जाय ना कि किछि बाहर आउटसाइड दुनिया विषय बेसी किछि जान ना, तो से माने ई क्वेश्चन फेल हे जिवे. तो तुमे कोन कहबे ए पिला बेसी इंटेलिजेंट, ए पिला कम इंटेलिजेंट, बट एक्चुअली दैट इज नॉट सो. बट एमान को यदि हमें ए टाइप रो टेस्ट दवा, एप्टीट्यूड टेस्ट करिया, ताले फॉर्मल लर्निंग और इनफॉर्मल लर्निंग भितरे भी हमें डिफरेंस को रिड्यूस कर परिया. So एथरे जेटे शार्प बुद्धिया पिला थिबो, whether or not he knows knowledge or not, he or she will be able to answer this question. Okay, because ए क्वेश्चन टा कोन हमरो knowledge को टेस्ट करने, एटा हमरो aptitude को टेस्ट करूची. So these are also known as non verbal tests of intelligence. Okay, verbal test होची जोथरे लैंग्वेज यूज करा हो, non verbal होची जोथरे लैंग्वेज यूज करा हबन, images or performance type of test जोथरे यूज करा हो. So those are known as non verbal tests. So these are all testing your aptitude. Similarly, there is something known as differential aptitude test, that यूएस रे जो स्कॉलास्टिक एप्टीट्यूड टेस्ट और सैट हुए जहां बेसिस रे से माने कॉलेज और यूनिवर्सिटी रे एडमिशन नियन दीज आर ऑल एप्टीट्यूड टेस्ट अचीवमेंट टेस्ट और एबिलिटी टेस्ट केमते जेंति हमरो यूपीएससी और सिविल सर्विस रे मेन एग्जाम हो that is also to a great extent on knowledge based right बुझिचो जिंसो you can write this university school college board exam is सब गुडा होची examples of achievement test right or ability test सिम्पली normal intelligence test like Stanford Binet intelligence test these are also examples of ability test कि हम लोकर existing ability को हमें test करू एथरे जेमती होची existing intelligence को SBIT through रे test करा होची okay बट एथरे कोन aptitude को test करा होची right similarly one small difference is there yeah how would a small difference कोन पचारी attitude और aptitude भितर difference कोन now attitude chapter रे हमें already देखथिले attitude is our tendency to think feel and react in certain ways that is positively or negatively towards specific people things ideas events etc standard definition एटा सते बेसी नो standard definition रो derive हिची standard definition हमें कोन कहितलु learned enduring predispositions to behave consistently in either favorable or unfavorable way towards object people things or a class of these right that am standard definition thila previous class ro note re देखियो लिखा अछि so this is the meaning of attitude so our attitude towards certain people or certain objects on aptitude कोन our future potential एटा हम already discuss होछि potential towards some work or activity right? so attitude रे हम देखिले कि it is always learned एटा केबे भी इनबॉर्न हो राइट सो डेफिनेशन नहीं लिखा है कि इट इज ए लर्नड एंड्योरिंग दैट मींस केही भी मां पेटरो हमें एटीट्यूड किछ नहीं कि आसी न था हमें एठी बॉडीला थ्रू रे ही हमें बाहर एक्सटर्नली हम जिंस को सब लर्न करू राइट फॉर एग्जांपल इफ यू सी प्रेजुडिस टुवर्ड्स सर्टेन कम्युनिटी children will you will not find bias racism or prejudice among the children usually all of these things you will find in adult because बड़ा होबा भितर हमें ये सब खराब जिंस भी किछ सिखि जाओ राइट चिल्ड्रन माने को दिल से सच्चा स्पंदन so that is also an example that shows ki it is learned attitude is learned on the other hand aptitude may be innate or may be learned actually aptitude we can say ki it is partly innate or partly learned for example I have given an example most africans semanko genetic aptitude अछि physical activity right because our genetic सेमती inheritance अछि कि तांकर body जो माने देहर गठनटा जेमते हेछि ना that is apt for physical activity okay so you can say कि तांकर aptitude already अछि physical activity पे and ସେଥିରେ ଯଦି ସେମାନେ experience skill ଯଦି add କରିଦେବେ ତାହେଲେ performance better ହେଇଯିବ so we always have aptitude some innate aptitude ଆମ ପାଖରେ ଥାଏ बेले बेले कोन totally innate aptitude न थाई कि हम सेटाକୁ learn भी करते suppose जणे born किछि difficulty physical defect अछि तो that person will practice too much to बहुत practice करी hard work करके he or she also can become an athlete in fact you see this example of Wilma Rudolph google करियो class करे you see her life story you will understand ki what is the meaning of aptitude and achievement or ability right similarly it is attitude is essential for performance it is essential remember or successfully carrying out an activity कि एप्टीट्यूड न हेले भी चलियो किंतु एटीट्यूड सब बेले थिबा दरकार एटीट्यूड यदि ठीक नाही परफॉर्मेंस ठीक होबो नाही केबे भी एबिलिटी थिले भी ठीक होबो नाही राइट whereas in the case of aptitude जदि तुमरा एप्टीट्यूड स्टार्टिंग रे नाही ताले एटा लेटर इट कैन आल्सो बी डेवलप्ड और लर्नड राइट there is no issue in that but जदि एटीट्यूड तुमरो नाही ताले तुम परफॉर्मिंग काई करियो तुम you will be demotivated और तुम यदि रॉन्ग एटीट्यूड अछि ताले तुमरो परफॉर्मेंस भी डिफरेंट वे रे आसीबो rather than who is well motivated so again attitude is entirely psychological we have discussed this abc model of psychology right whereas aptitude is partly physical and partly psychological finally this is attitude by Charles Swindoll go through this very nice thing I think I had posted this in the group also right so this finishes your class on attitude and aptitude as well as emotional intelligence which marks the end of section A tomorrow and the next day onwards we will take up section B that is case studies जोड़ा बहुत सारा case study हमें करें if you have any doubt from this class please ask କିଛି doubt ଅଛି emotional intelligence or aptitude
ए एटीट्यूड एप्टीट्यूड को हम एमती इक्वेशन बनै परिवा कि सर एटीट्यूड प्लस एप्टीट्यूड इक्वल टू डिजायर्ड अल्टीट्यूड
हाँ करि परियो ମୁଁ କହିଲି ତମ own understanding you can make equations you can make diagram flowchart सब कर पारे हो. Yes, you can do this. तुम्हें ये जो इक्वेशन बने हो aptitude plus attitude is whatever you said desired altitude. Very good, very nice quotation. Can anyone say that this equation is wrong? No one can prove this is wrong, right? So if from your own understanding you can make equations, you can draw diagrams of which कर पारे हो. These are all value addition. या को आप box कर दो, highlight कर दो. Very nice, no issues, right? Any other doubts?
सर लास्ट क्लास रे गोटे डाउट थिला से जो
हाँ,
आपण एग्जांपल देथिले जण गोटे ग्रुप को $1 दिया हैतला और गोटे ग्रुप को $20 दिया हैतला सेही कांसेप्ट सर ऑथोरिटी कोइ देबे.
attitude change हमें कहते हैं. So again that was an example of less leads to more. ସେଥିରେ ଆମେ କହିଲୁ କି ଗୋଟେ experiment through ରେ ଆମେ ଦେଖା ହେଲା कि ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ incentive ଦବୁ ଲୋକଙ୍କୁ ଯଦି ଆମେ ଅଧିକା ଦବୁ ତାହେଲେ ସେ ଲୋକ ଅଧିକା କାମ କରିବେ ନା less ଦବୁ ସେ ଅଧିକା କାମ କରିବେ. Let me give you another example. चलो ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ୱେରେ ଜିନିଷଟା ଭାବ. Suppose ତମେ ଭିଡିଓ ଗେମ୍ ଖେଳୁଛ, right? Suppose ଗୋଟେ ଭିଡିଓ ଗେମ୍ ଏମିତିଆ ଖେଳୁଛ कि ତମେ suppose you are playing a game कि ଏମିତି ରାସ୍ତାରେ କିଛି ତମେ ଗଲେ ରାସ୍ତାରେ ତୁମକୁ କିଛି reward ମିଳୁଛି, like ତୁମକୁ କିଛି coins ମିଳୁଛି. ଯଦି କଣ ହବ କି every left or right turn ରେ ଗୋଟେ ଗୋଟେ coin ମିଳିବ, it is well established, ବହୁତ ସାରା research ୟା ଉପରେ ହେଇଛି, ତାହେଲେ ତମେ ସେ ଗେମ୍ ଟା ବେଶୀ ଟାଇମ ଖେଳିବ ନାହିଁ. Now you will be able to understand यार माने कौन, because this will become a fixed reinforcement. यार गोटे ग्राफ भी अच्छे डिफरेंट टाइप रो रिइंफोर्समेंट रे केमतिया लोक माने परफॉर्म करंती, एमतिया एमतिया परफॉर्म करंती, एमतिया एमतिया परफॉर्म करंती, एमतिया एमतिया परफॉर्म करंती, गोटे होची पूरा एमतिया करंती. एटा कहते वेरिएबल रेशियो. वेरिएबल रेशियो रे एक्चुअली लोक माने सबुठु बेसी परफॉर्म करंती, एडिक्टेड हे जंती वीडियो गेम गुडा. ई सब साइकोलॉजिकल देखो केते साइकोलॉजिकल इनसाइट सतिर अछि. जेता फिक्स्ड रिइंफोर्समेंट हे गला तुमे सेते यूजुअली गेम टार बोर हे जो, बिकॉज़ तुमे जानछो मु लेफ्ट गले मते मिलियो रिवार्ड, राइट गले रिवार्ड मिलियो. वीडियो गेम को जानि जानि एमतिया डिजाइन करा हेता है कि गोटे अनप्रेडिक्टेबल अमाउंट ऑफ टाइम तुम खेलले ही तुमको किछ गोटे रिवार्ड मिलियो. मींस यू कैन नॉट गेस कि कहा पर तुमको रिवार्ड मिलियो, एंड से रिवार्ड रो अमाउंट भी बहुत स्मॉल, राइट? नॉट अ ह्यूज रिवार्ड. इनफैक्ट ये कॉइन रो वैल्यू भी किछ अछि, किछ तो वैल्यू नहीं, एथरे तुमको एक्चुअली बैंक अकाउंट में पैसा जाउछि. बट व्हाई पीपल आर गेटिंग एडिक्टेड? बिकॉज़ तापर कोन करी से माने तुमे एमती लेफ्ट कले मे बी इमीडिएटली एठी गोटे दीटा रिवार्ड मिलला, तापर बहुत बाटा पर्यंत तुमको रिवार्ड मिलियोनी. पुणी किछ बाटा पर पुणी संग संग किछ रिवार्ड मिलियो, पुणी किछ बाटा पर्यंत मिलियोनी. या द्वारा कोन यू विल दे विल कीप यू गेसिंग कि मते केते बाट गले मते रिवार्ड मिलियो, यू डोंट नो, सो विल कीप ऑन गोइंग एंड गोइंग. तुमको जाना नहीं, राइट? दिस इज आल्सो एन एग्जांपल वेयर लेस लीड्स टू मोर. हमें अल्प जिंस देकी लोकन को हुक करके रख करिया. ओके, आई विल गिव यू अनदर एग्जांपल. नाउ यू विल लाफ. सपोज देयर इज अ कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट. ओके, समवन स्टार्टेड एन इनिशिएटिव. हमें कोन कहया हमें सब नोट को हमें फ्रीली अपलोड कर दो. नाउ व्हाई वी डोंट डू दैट? किछ लोक कोन कहंदे माने फिलैंथ्रोपिकल कहंदे प्रोवाइड एवरीथिंग फ्रीली. Point is when you again provide everything freely, people will not value it. Value will go down. It is freely available, no one will read it. If you put some money into that, if you put some value into it, now this will create value for this in the people also. Again, it is also using the same principle. Less leads to more effect, right? You provide a less amount for free, more amount you keep for your own use. Again, these are also things which are used by coaching institutes also. किछि कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट चलो स्टार्टिंग रे सब पके जंती बिकॉज़ तांकर क्वालिटी भी सेते भलो न थाए. इट्स लाइक दे डोंट केयर, समझते कि कॉपी कले न कले तांको फरक पड़े, चलो कॉपी कर. किछि इंस्टीट्यूट जो माने अल्ट्रा फेमस हे जन से माने एथै पकांती बिकॉज़ एमिति भी समस्त तांको कॉपी करछन, तो दे आर लाइक कि चलो तो समस्त कॉपी करछन हमें पके दा फ्रीली समस्त काई पिला को न दो, राइट? बट दिस इज आल्सो वन ऑफ द रीजंस कि व्हाई लेस लीड्स टू मोर, because when you give less reward then people will get hooked. If you provide everything at one go, people will not value it. So now there will be attitude change. एबे देखो से केस रे attitude change कोन हला जेदर $1 पे से मानको मिछ कहया को कुआ गला, आ जण को आ गोटे ग्रुप को $20 पे कुआ गला. जो ग्रुप को $20 पे मिछ कहया कुआ गला तांको लागिला कि तांको भीतर कॉग्निटिव डिसोनेंस किछि क्रिएट हला. सेमाने कहले कि आमे मिछ काई कहलु, सेमाने निजो को दे वर एबल टू जस्टिफाई टू देमसेल्फ आमे मिछ कहलु बिकॉज़ $20 पे, एंड दिस इज अ सिग्निफिकेंट सम. So आमे गोटे सिग्निफिकेंट सम पे हम मिछ कहलु माने दिस इज आवर पेमेंट, so that is fine. $20 पे मते मिछ कहया पड़ला, मिछ कहि देली. बट जो लोक को $1 पे मिछ कहया कुआ गला, मु गोटे फ्रेज कहितली जाति गला बट पेट पुरला नहीं, से वाला कंडीशन. ଏବେ ଏଇ ଲୋକମାନେ କଣ ନିଜକୁ ଜଷ୍ଟିଫିକେସନ ଦେବେ, ସେମାନେ will they justify to themselves କି ଆମେ $1 ପାଇଁ ମିଛ କହିଲୁ? ଏଇଟା ଯଦି କହିବେ ତାଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ cognitive dissonance create ହେଲା। So then they justify to themselves ଆମେ $1 ପାଇଁ ମିଛ କହିନାଉ, ଆମେ ମିଛ ଏଥିପାଇଁ କହିଛୁ because the task itself was interesting, which was the lie। ମାନେ ସେ lie ଟାକୁ ସେମାନେ true ବୋଲି ସେମାନେ ନିଜେ ବିଶ୍ୱାସ କରିନାହାନ୍ତି। ସେମାନେ କହିଲେ କି ଆମେ actually ମିଛ ହିଁ କହିନଥିଲୁ, ଆମେ ସତ କଥା ହିଁ କହିଥିଲୁ। because ଆମେ କଣ $1 ପାଇଁ ମିଛ କହିବୁ କି? So that means କି ଆମେ ସତ କହିଥିଲୁ, that means ସେ ଜିନିଷଟା ଠିକ ଥିଲା। So this is how they were able to change their attitude। ତାଙ୍କର attitude ନିଜେ ହିଁ ସେମାନେ change କରିଦେଲେ। ଏଥିରେ କଣ ଏଇ ଲୋକଙ୍କର attitude change ହେଲାନି, ସେ ଏକ୍ସପେରିଏନ୍ସ ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟିଂ ରେ ସେମାନେ ଯାହା ମିଛ ବୋଲି ଭାବୁଥିଲେ ପରେ ବି ସେଟାକୁ ମିଛ ବୋଲି ହିଁ କହିଲେ। Right? So how we are using less incentive to change the attitude of people। give it up campaign ରେ ବି ସେଇଆ ହେଲା। give it up campaign ରେ ଲୋକଙ୍କୁ କୁହାଗଲା କି ଲୋକଙ୍କୁ ଦେଖ ସେଥିରେ କଣ ମିଳିଲା, ଲୋକଙ୍କର ରାଦର କହିବାକୁ ଗଲେ ମନିଟାରୀ ଟର୍ମ ରେ ତ ଯୋଉ ଲୋକମାନେ give up କରିଦେଲେ ସବସିଡି ତାଙ୍କର ତ ଲସ୍ ହେଲା ନା, ବଟ୍ ସେମାନଙ୍କୁ ଲେସ୍ ଜିନିଷ ଦେଇକି ତାଙ୍କୁ ମୋଟିଭେଟ କରାଗଲା କି you give it up for the country। ଓକେ, ଏଥିରେ ତମକୁ ରିୱାର୍ଡ କିଛି ମିଳୁନାହିଁ, ବଟ୍ ଇଟ୍ ଇଜ ବେନିଫିଟିଂ ଦ country। So then they were forced to change their attitude। Okay, we gave it up because we love our country। Right? Okay,
Okay.
I forgot to
Sir,
even check। Oh my god, it's getting very late। Okay, yes, go on। Any
sir ଆଉ
last
ଗୋଟେ
question?
question, ସେ ଯୋଉ
हाँ पता।
question ଦେଇଥିଲେ 3 number question ଥିଲା ଯେ what factors affect the formation of person's attitude towards social problem। Sir,
Right।
second part ଥିଲା ଯେ in our society contrasting attitudes are prevalent about many social problem। what contrasting attitude do you notice about our caste system? ସେଇଟା ଟିକେ କହିଦେବେ।
ମାନେ କଣ କହିବି, ବୁଝିବି ତାର solution।
ଆଜ୍ଞା sir, solution।
in general ତାର framework କହୁଛି, just last line ଟା repeat କର। what are the contrasting attitude?
What contrasting attitude do you notice about the caste system in our society?
Okay, it's very straightforward। contrasting attitude माने you can divide this into positive attitude as well as negative attitude। positive attitude माने जो लोगोंकर, see we are not justifying it, we are saying कि किछि लोगोंकर positive attitude अछि means they are supporting caste system। कौन ପାଇଁ support କରୁଛନ୍ତି? for example they are saying कि ଆମର group solidarity ଅଛି। okay, ଆମର group identity ଅଛି। right? ଏଟା ଆମ rights and rituals को ଆମେ follow କରୁଛୁ। right? तो ଏଟା ଆମର cultural heritage ଏଇଭଳିଆ ସବୁ positive way ରେ ଅଛି। negative way ରେ କଣ, ତାର ଯୋଉ casteism the term itself is negative, ମାନେ discrimination ଯୋଉଟା ହଉଛି। right? similarly negative attitude towards caste ଆଉ କଣ ହେଇପାରେ କି for example how this is inequality କେମିତି create କରୁଛି society ରେ। right? injustice, okay, inequality in access to resources and power ଏ ସବୁ ଜିନିଷ। so these are the contrasting attitudes towards caste that different people have। now what is the first part of the question? first part କଣ ଥିଲା?
Then what factors affect the formation of person's attitude towards social problem?
towards social problem। in general factors of attitude ରେ ଦେଖିଦବ, ଯାହା ଯାହା factor ସେ similar ଜିନିଷ ଦେଖିଦବ factors of attitude। for example attitude को ଆମେ ଯଦି ଏଇ way ରେ factor ରେ divide କରିପାରିବା affective ଆଉ cognitive and behavioral, then ସେଇ way ରେ ତମେ ଭାବିବ କି affective और emotional factor କଣ କଣ ଅଛି attitude ର, cognitive factor କଣ ଅଛି, behavioral factor କଣ ଅଛି। then take up any social problem, for example social problem of say communal conflict। right? this is a social problem। এই social problem ର affective और emotional point कौन कौन ହେଇପାରେ, cognitive point कौन कौन ହେଇପାରେ, behavioral कौन कौन ହେଇପାରେ। just give an example, ଦୁଇ ତିନିଟା point ଲେଖିଥିଲେ you will be able to show। similarly prejudice। okay, or let us say prejudice तो बहुत ହେଇଗଲା, let us say कि for example environmental pollution। right? this is also a social problem। तो यार attitude towards environmental pollution, for example କିଛି ଲୋକଙ୍କର attitude ଏମିତି କି ଚलो pollute ହବାକୁ ଦିଅ ଆମର କଣ ଫରକ ପଡୁଛି। तो यार फैक्टर कौन अच्छी, किसी इमोशनल फैक्टर अच्छी, किसी थिंकिंग कॉग्निटिव फैक्टर अच्छी, किसी बिहेवियरल अच्छी। फॉर एग्जांपल इमोशनल लेवल रे किसी पीपल मानक किसी फरक पड़ुनी, तो से इमोशनली न्यूट्रल से किसी जाय आसे नहीं। कॉग्निटिव कौन तांकर थिंकिंग अच्छी कि सब जिन गवर्नमेंट करियो और आमर किसी रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी नहीं, दिस इज थिंकिंग रिलेटेड एस्पेक्ट। बिहेवियर कौन, पॉल्यूटिंग बिहेवियर इटसेल्फ, लेटरिंग करिवे से माने किसी गवर्नमेंट रेगुलेशन रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस मानिवे नहीं। so all of these thinking and feeling is culminating or reflecting in their behavior। right? so in this way also you can divide it which factors are, otherwise तमे एमती simplistic way रे भी attitude रो factors कोन, factors of attitude करी भी दे तीन टा पॉइंट चार पांच टा पॉइंट एमती स्पाइडर डायग्राम रे लिखि पारे। For example, factors of attitude you can write ki amaro upbringing kon heichi family ro, right? Se lokor socialization kon heichi, taro learning level or literacy level kete, right? Taro own understanding or emotional capability kete, emotional intelligence you can also write. You can give this kind of Bronfenbrenner ecological model also, you can write this is how it is affecting taro context kimte affect korche taro decision, right? In this way also you can divide. There is no fixed way of answering, but point is you take one framework through which you will be able to structure your answer. Structure kare pe amku gote framework darkar. That framework can be very simply ABC model. It can also be in this way, jodi kichi specific point jodi likh kariyo, it depends on how you are structuring, right? Any other doubts? चलो आज सेक्शन ए रो लास्ट क्लास थिला, सो इट्स गुड वी आर नाउ एबल टू कंप्लीट द सिलेबस. वी सीम आमे बहुत ही डेप्थ रे जाई कि पूरा सिलेबस को कंप्लीट करछु सेक्शन 8 रो. सो यू हैव एनफ कंटेंट ପାଇଁ प्लीज डोंट गेट वरीड. या परठरु बहुत बेसी कंटेंट पछरे चेज करो नहीं, बहुत बेसी मटेरियल चेज करो नहीं. व्हाटएवर मटेरियल इज गिवन दैट इज more than enough. And apart from that, from the next class, few classes we will also take up the this application part, in which we will apply the section A रो concept को हमें apply करिबु in section B, right? ठीक है then. Thank you friends. We will meet again tomorrow. Okay. Good night.